Mr. Chairman, we are live.
Okay, welcome everybody in the audience and online. Today is May 8th. This is our weekly county commissioner meeting. At this time, I please ask everyone to rise. And Faye, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Faye, for doing that. Everybody get a chance to look at the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
It's all good. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Make motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
With a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Move right on down. Our next agenda item is an action item. These are claims, order claims. And I have a few questions. Gonna have to give me a minute to find them.
Whoops.
Got all the time in the world.
We got all the time in the world. That's right.
So the fairground bathrooms, why, I thought that we had closed those up.
There's basic water charges for every month.
Got it. Even though we're not utilizing, there's a minimum.
Actually, I thought they are open.
They're not. They were closed. They were closed during the winter.
Oh, yeah, during the, they
Yeah,
haven't
but we
opened them
still
yet.
had fees, water fees, because everybody does.
What was I looking for?
What? Mobile laptop air cards, that must be sheriff.
Sheriff's Department, yep.
Okay. I keep asking questions because
It's okay.
I come down and sit down at
Some
your
of them I
desk.
can answer.
If I come sit down at your desk, you'll overwhelm me, so I just have to ask them a few at a time.
Fair enough.
We'll see the department ahead on each one of the subcategories up here.
Mm-hmm.
Know which one.
Yep. I've already looked over them, so.
There's a lot
Um,
of,
Rita, do we have a fuel tank at Donley?
Mhm.
I
For
didn't
the
know we had-
groomer. For the,
Oh,
for
that's
the
for the
plow.
groomer. It's not
It's,
for
it's
the,
not the groomer, it's for the plow.
for the plows. I was
Down there,
wondering.
yeah.
I've just never seen it there before.
Yeah, but you don't see the plow. It's-
Right.
so it's not one
Most
of those
people don't
things
know
we
it's
see.
there.
there was like a ton of training for swift water training for Donica and Goski. I mean, like 4 or 5 different charges.
Sheriff's Department enters those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do we? I just noticed Scott Erickson, we contracted him for doing some of our work.
Public defense?
Public defense.
yeah,
Okay. That's what we just contract with him to do that.
Correct.
yep,
Okay.
that's a monthly.
And Commissioner Thompson,
contract.
this is the last year that next year will be the last year that the county pays directly for public defense. That will be transitioning to the state of Idaho
Oh, well,
in fiscal year 2025.
we will no longer have to pay for that.
That's
The state
correct.
will.
That's correct.
That's part of that whole conversation around the the reduction in property taxes. Get off the property tax and put it in the sales tax.
Put it into that. Okay.
Rita, on the Verizon Connect fleet,
Mhm.
the fleet tracking, is that for the road department? I thought we canceled that. Are we going to, or, because they don't work?
No, it's not being canceled. And that actually is 3 months worth of charges. Because for some reason, they can't seem to get the bills to us. We don't know. I can't pay it if I
Oh.
don't know about it. But according to Jeff and Mickey the other day, they are all on it and tracking.
They are working.
They are working.
That's good to know, because I thought last I heard they weren't working, so we'll move on from that one.
Last I heard, there was some of the snow equipment is not working. When it jiggles, it doesn't work, but most of the trucks are working.
Under the audit, the county was 18 some, and then how much was the EMS?
EMS was 3,000, but that comes out of a different budget. But
That comes out of their budget,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
The increase is for the fair board.
and it was 21,000 total.
And then the fair board's paying for that audit?
No, the county's paying for that as well.
Okay. I think that was it, but I want to look really quick. And I see we have a homemaker payment. That's the first in a while. And you guys did get a chance to see the board orders?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's good. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the claims, board order claims.
Second?
Move to second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I think that goes with that.
Doug, why are we taking the new boiler out of board order claims? And that's not out of Scott's budget.
I think it's out of, is it out of Pilt?
It's out of Pilt.
But why is it out of Pilt, not?
'Cause that was something that we had budgeted for out of Pilt, I believe in fiscal year 2023,
Okay.
and we did not budget for that.
How much was that? 46,000?
35, something. like
What
Okay.
was, that was the remainder of it, I think.
That wasn't all of it?
3359.43.
That wasn't all of it, Rita?
I don't believe so, not all at one time. It- in steps.
Pilt's about out of money.
Well, and I think we just bought a new boiler for downstairs about 4 years ago.
It was before that, because I've been here
5 years
4
ago?
years, so it's been
Well, that's not old.
7 or 8
either.
years ago. And we were gonna move that one over to the jail as a backup,
I don't think
sell
it'll
it, but
sell
Well,
it. I
if
thought
that
we were
ever
gonna
got-
sell it. We'll talk to Scott about that. Let's put that on this list. Okay, we're gonna move right on down our agenda. Next ones are elected officials report.
Put that note on the water.
First one up is assessor. Sue, good morning.
Good morning. So I am working with the prosecutor's office and the clerk's office for the increase in the title admin fees for the DMV. Clerk Miller has advised that we have to have a hearing if there's more than a 5% increase, and it's more than 5% from the homework that Meg has worked up for us. So the county currently gets to keep $3 of the current $14 fee. We are proposing an increase of $15 added to that 3 for a total of 18 to help support our DMV.
So when are we gonna do the public hearing on
I
that?
am going to go have a conversation with Gabby and see when we can get that done, and I need to get it published in the paper.
but even with the new legislation, the
That
way
is
they
with the
wrote it,
new
it still
legislation.
requires public hearing.
I mean, I would defer to our prosecuting attorney's office,
Yes.
but any fee above 5% does require a formal public hearing, commissioners. That is my understanding, but again, would defer to the prosecuting attorney's office.
Yes.
So all we're gonna really do then is just this is for new vehicles? Or is this for all,
This is for any title transfer.
any title?
Mhm. whether it be vehicles, boats, ATVs.
Not registrations, just titles.
Correct. The title fee, I'm not sure, I don't know as if it's ever been increased since I've worked for the county for 18 years. So it needs to be done. And with House Bill 85, it made it possible.
Okay. Anything else? See you tomorrow at 8.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Donuts.
Was it my
I'm
turn?
bringing them.
Okay. Thank you.
Donuts. Mr. Miller.
Commissioners, good morning.
Morning, Douglas.
Just start with elections. Friday was the last day for voters to be able to request absentee ballots for the May 16th election that will be taking place for the Cascade Rural Fire Department, permanent override, as well as the bond that is being done by the Cascade Medical Center. So Friday was the last day for voters to be able to request absentee ballots. However, this Friday is the last day for voters to vote in person absentee. And then we will have our election on the 16th of May for that matter, for those two matters.
You're getting quite a few requests.
I believe we're up to 115 absentee ballots as well as in person. So not great, but there are some individuals requesting absentee and voting in person. We had about 22 a day last week, which is fairly substantial.
And this is
That's-
strictly Cascade.
It's not just strictly Cascade because the boundaries do incorporate Roseberry as well, but primarily it is just the Cascade area. That is correct.
That's next Tuesday.
That would be next Tuesday is the actual election. Courts, we have today we had a trial that was canceled. I believe it was a civil trial that had canceled. So we just have a normal court this week. We do have some training for our jury module. We will be transitioning to the new product, our jury module, and that training will occur on the 15th of May. So we were hoping to be able to transition to that module in April, but it's been pushed back, it's been delayed. So we will be transitioning to a new jury module, hopefully the end of this month or potentially next month, but we will have some training on that this week.
Can you explain what that is, module?
So it's when we do a jury panel. So right now we're on computer arts when we do our selection of juries. The state is actually going to be paying for that conversion. So the state would be overseen by the Supreme Court. So it's a Supreme Court system, and it's pulling jury panels for jury trials.
Doug, does that affect the what do I want to say, the picking of the people, the numbers?
No.
That's not part of this. That's still going to stay the same.
Well, I guess the process is going to be different because instead of using computer arts, we're going to be using the new Tyler system, the new system, but it's going to be paid for by the Supreme Court. So that's one of the main reasons that we are going to be transitioning is that the county won't have to pay for that any longer.
You know what the cost savings is?
I believe it's approximately $6,500 a year. Don't quote me on that. I can get you an accurate
Not a
figure,
great-
but I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to that. Myself, Treasurer DeFort, and my Chief Deputy Gabrielle Knapp attended a budget and levy training workshop with the State Tax Commission on Thursday. Very informational regarding how the House Bill 292 is going to impact all of us. So there is going to be, of course, some changes. In my opinion, and I'll let Treasurer DeFort speak for herself, but I think a lot of the heavy lifting is going to take place on the tax bills that are going out because they do in fact have to show what the property tax reduction is going to be on those the tax bills. But I'll let Johanna speak on behalf of what she feels is going to be the changes that are going to be taking place. But again, that training was very educational, and we really appreciate the State Tax Commission for putting that on to give us a clear guidance of what the assessor's office needs to do, what the clerk's office needs to do, and then ultimately what the treasurer's office needs to do when sending out those tax notices. Budgets for Valley County, we're still meeting with elected officials and department heads. We do have 2 departments that will be presenting to you today, the facilities and solid waste. And then court services will be coming in, again, just to provide with their initial requests. And we are still preparing for fiscal year 2024 budget. Lastly, in our office, myself and Gabby have been doing regular training for our financial software conversion. So right now, Gabby and myself are taking some of the training that is offered just to be prepared on creating and setting up the new software. Also, we have been working with myself and Treasurer DeFort and Gabby have been working with the implementation specialist for our chart of accounts. So we are working diligently on making sure that our chart of accounts are getting converted accurately. We did get notification that the spreadsheet that we had presented to them validated, which is a positive, but we still have to go through that to make sure that it's capturing everything that we want. So a lot of work in the clerk's office and a lot of teamwork with the other departments. So that's all I have, commissioners.
Look, the chart of accounts, did you get all the trusts, all that's involved? This is like a complete entire list, right?
Complete entire list.
We
Yes,
got to
sir.
make sure we don't miss anything.
Yep, we're making sure that they capture everything during the conversion.
And then second question is, because public defense is going to the state, do we even have to look at that budget?
So we do. So next year, it still is paid for by the county with money being submitted to us by the state. So
Okay.
the money is still being, for lack of better terms, filtered through us. And then we pay the public defense directly for 1 more year. In fiscal year 2025, the state will pay it directly. We still don't know what that system looks like, though.
You know, is that going to be like monthly or one-time check from the state for this year?
So
Well,
we
for the
have,
next-
so the reimbursement that we have received our first half payment from the state. And then we will be getting another payment from the state to cover our public defense costs. We are not levying for public defense
Right,
this
right.
year or next year, but the payments are still being paid to the county for public defense.
And it sounds like it's a biannual payment, not like a monthly payment.
Correct. If the payments but we are paying our contract on a monthly basis.
Right.
And then our conflict public defense, we're paying them, if they are assigned to those cases, we're paying them when their invoices are being submitted to us.
And then we'll get reimbursed for the conflicts too.
We do. We get reimbursed for all public defense.
And then who sets up those hourly rates, us or the state, for the conflicts?
Right now, you guys did.
But the state will take that function over as well?
Correct. The state's going to take all of that function over completely in fiscal year 2025. But again, we don't know if that's going to be a district-wide system. It's really still up in the air.
And
Okay.
when we get the conversion done, will there be training for us on Tyler so that we can read the reports? And
Yes. Yep.
I don't want to bug you to death.
You can still bug us all you need to.
Any more questions for Doug?
Good.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Next up on the list is Mr. Noggle. Morning.
Morning.
First, I guess I'll start with an action item that we've got on this is Oak's findings of fact, conclusions of law for a vacation or a portion of Corral Creek.
It looks really good to me. I read it the other day and looks fine to me, but,
Not around for signatures.
but did anybody want to look at this?
No,
I did.
bad at all.
So then I would entertain a motion to approve the facts and conclusions for vacation of a portion of Crow Creek Road.
Go ahead.
I would move that we go ahead and sign the Corral Creek facts and conclusions.
Seconded.
Move to second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. You want today's date on it?
Please.
Thank you. Anything else, Brian? Go ahead.
Other than that, not a whole lot else. We are very busy in the criminal division right now, working through our misdemeanors and felonies. We do have a pending lawsuit. Had a chance to talk a little bit about it. Planned Parenthood sued me in my capacity as a prosecutor, as well as all of the other prosecutors in the state, under the basically asking for an injunction that prohibits us from prosecuting anything under the new statute passed by the legislature. I think it's 1861-22 maybe, that criminalizes abortion in the state. And so that lawsuit, we're currently being represented by the Attorney General's office. And there's a pending motion to dismiss that was just filed on Friday by the Attorney General. So we'll see what the ruling is on that, and we'll keep you posted on how that's going. But we're working through that as well. So between that and the criminal stuff and Oak's work on the civil side, we're clipping right along.
Do you know when we're doing your guys' budget?
I think it's May 22, a
Next
Monday.
week? Couple of weeks?
Bear with me one moment,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
I believe it's 2 weeks from today.
And if I'm correct, you guys are requesting another civil attorney, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to request another civil attorney. I can talk more about that, but we're in a position where, one of the real challenges, I think, for up here is obviously hiring and being able to hire good people. We at least know that we have a good candidate up here in Valley County that wants to stay here and work up here. We had a chance to have Arnie in and working with us for a couple of months. He did a nice job for us, and so we just felt like it was a good chance to open a position where we have somebody that has a place up here and
Has a house.
has a house and is a good candidate for that. Not to say that I'm not putting any pressure on Arnie to apply, and I'm not promising that we would hire him if we did, but just knowing that there is at least a good candidate up here that's a potential hire, and knowing how heavy the workload's been on the civil side for Oak over the last year, it seemed like the right time to do it. So,
Okay, any more questions from Mr. Noggle?
Awesome.
okay,
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
you too.
Sheriff? Good morning.
Good morning. I have a action item, and it's for the Bureau of Reclamation Law Enforcement contract. This contract is a 5-year contract, but it has an annual financial portion to it. So this is the second option period. So, and then it also shows that there's a change in their contracting officer.
So, sure, just so I understand this, the total is for 171,000, but that's for all 5
That's
years.
for the 5-year. Yeah,
we
so it's
divide that-
34,200 a year if we'd get all of our patrols in. So that's for water on the Cascade Lake and the dam area, and then the Bureau's campgrounds. And then anything else that comes up with law enforcement related on the Bureau property.
It's kind of hard to understand their discussion on number 4 talks about the total obligated amount of the contract is increased.
Yeah, so each year, it just shows that they've paid out. We still need to bill them
Okay,
for another portion. We billed them for 26,000. That should be coming in soon.
and this pretty much all goes to waterways, right?
Well, part of it's waterways, and then part of it is for the land deputies. So our rec deputies.
Okay, okay. So there's, just saying, there's more money in waterways besides the Coast Guard money. You were asking about that a while back. Hey, everybody good with this? I'd entertain a motion to approve well, let me get it, the contract with the Bureau of Reclamation for, what is it?
Option period 2.
Yeah. Option period 2.
I'll make motions that we approve the modification of Bureau of Land Reclamation Law Enforcement contract.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye, motion carries.
It just takes the chairman's signature.
sound like you're recovering from a cold,
Allergies.
allergies.
Yeah, it's down where, in the valley. That's it. Pollen.
Sagebrush was in bloom in Utah.
Hmm?
The sagebrush was in bloom in Utah. Immediately went, oh, great.
Oh, yeah, sagebrush kills me.
That kills me.
That's why I live up here and not in the valley.
I'm allergic to all the pine trees and everything else too, so. Doesn't matter where I live, I'm allergic to
Wait,
it.
It's miserable.
Oh, see, print and sign.
Oh, great.
I don't hunt in Hawaii just because of
Awful.
It's already been signed by them, so I will scan it in and
Great,
forward it to you.
thank you. If you could just forward it to Nicole.
Congratulations. Hey, you got anything else?
I don't, I will be in Sun Valley for sheriff's meetings this week. I'll be leaving here soon. And then we have Sergeant Turner on the next action item.
Okay, so Sergeant Turner, come on up. This is also an action item, and these should be in your packet. These are the bylaws. Is that correct?
the waterways.
Where is it? Good morning, how are you?
Morning. How are you guys?
So the wording in dark print is the change?
I believe
I'm
so,
assuming.
yes. I
And-
was not at the meeting last week, so I was down in Boise at the Marine Academy teaching, so
I don't know that they've ever had bylaws.
they haven't. And they
They're
decided
brand
to
new, so-
finally set some bylaws in there so they could,
I was there at the meeting and we made you chairman, by the way.
Oh,
Did you not
perfect.
get that much? Did you not show up, buddy?
I guess my only question is, and Brian can help me, Oak, is Title 74 of the open meeting laws part of Idaho statute? Is he here? Oh, I
No.
thought he was sitting right behind. Oh, he's gone. Because it talks about Robert's Rules of Order, but I think if Title 4 covers the open meeting laws, we'll be okay.
I think so.
I
yeah.
think it does, but I don't know that.
The only feedback I had, they're doing a minimum of 5, which I think is what there's on there right now. It's pretty hard to get some work done when you only have 5 on there, but
Yeah.
I did reach back to Jolly and let him know that Dave and Larry just had that recreation council, of which there was a lot of members that didn't get chosen. So I said, reach out to them. There would be some really great applicants in there. That might be
I
a
know
good way
they're
to do it.
trying, they're looking for some people from down here too.
There were some from Cascade that didn't get chosen for that rec council. So that would be, people that are interested in this conversation.
Okay.
And then also, if you guys want, put it on social media. Just have Mackenzie post it on social media that you're looking for some people.
Okay.
I think that would be a good way to get it out too.
What about someone from Warm Lake? Is there anybody on that now?
Nope.
No, there is not.
Warm Lake might be another option that you could look at too.
Yeah, they were talking about that in the meeting. They needed a couple more people they wanted it from this end of the valley. Somebody has boats or messes with water and somebody
Yeah.
has that kind of background.
I know
think a
they were
minimum
looking
of
for
5 is
some,
pretty
for
minimal.
2 for down here. So,
Doesn't have a maximum on it, so you can have many as you want, but if you're running with 5, that's pretty slim for
Yep.
for what the
Where
work
did you
they're
find the 5? I don't see where there's a limit on.
There was a minimum. Let me
I
look
think they put in there a minimum of 5.
under membership, I think.
I've looked and I'm not finding it.
On right above Article 4, yeah. The committee will have a minimum of 5 appointed members.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I think this is a good start, Kevin, I really do. But I think as we build this in a little bit more, we might want to add a little bit more to it. Talks about, things like if your chairman resigns, vice chairman takes over, that kind of stuff. Simple things, but, so I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the Valley County Waterways Advisory Committee bylaws.
Second,
Moved in second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Do you have a hard copy?
Yes, I do.
Can you bring it
No,
up?
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Mr. Chairman, I'm having it printed off and brought up, so it should be
Okay,
here in just a
so
couple.
I'll sign that as soon as I get it and get it to you and Doug.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add?
Oh, I'm good right now.
You're
You
getting all
just-
fired up and ready to go.
Trying.
Summer's half over, so you might want to get her done.
It's starting.
It's starting,
So,
yeah.
Yep. No, we're in the process of hiring right now, so, we've got one new one hired on, got some returning, and I got 2 more in background right now, and I just received 2 more apps.
how you
So-
doing on,
Good.
So we should be doing good.
how you doing on places for people to have a place to stay?
I've got 2 campsites and that's it right now.
Oh my
So I'll be talking with Blake Packer down here from IDPR to see if maybe if they've got a spot somewhere. And then also with, Ponderosa too.
Good,
I'll
good.
check with them and see if they have any more available.
Good.
But the applicants we're getting actually have houses here, so that we've got. We're doing good right there.
We had a situation over the weekend. We had 2 small jet boats.
Yeah,
You guys get the
we tried
knuckleheads?
to find out where they were parking, and we couldn't find them at any of the ramps. And I have suspicion they're going in off of Smiley. So I'm gonna go up and take a look at that today.
Might just go talk to him because it's all over Facebook. He
Yeah,
was bragging
I've-
about doing it. So.
I've received the pictures and everything, so
Is it
There
those
was-
little,
I think I know one of the boat owners right now.
Well, we can tell you who it is because he's got it all over his Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But-
not hard to find out who it is. So.
There was 15 of them down at Horseshoe Bend going clear to Banks this
Yeah, they
Saturday.
had their club
Yeah,
run
big
down
club
there.
thing down there.
Yeah,
But we had 2 up here on our lake, our river.
yeah.
Went
Didn't
through
know
the
about that.
irrigation dam
Yep.
into McCall Lake, and yeah, they took it basically all the way up. And they're promoting them. That's what concerns me. It's not the one-off. It's the fact that he's promoting it for his business, that they want to sell more of these and do this, and that's just not going to fly in this river. So
Nope.
Yep, we'll have a talk with them.
Okay,
Yep, that's on my list for the priority this week, so.
yeah, I saw 2, guy pull out in front of me, had one of those. It looked like boats that were the races down in the salmon. Except it was little.
Yeah,
And I'm going, oh yeah, I know where they're going.
yeah, I just gotta find where they're putting in. And we're gonna I'm gonna get some signs made too.
that's what I was going to
for
say. If
some
we
of
can
those
just put a
spots
couple
that-
more.
That are off the grid, so.
You think it's just people are aware they can't run in some of these rivers? Or they just, because they can?
Because they can.
You know,
Makes sense. I'd
Okay.
probably done
sounds
the
like
same.
you're on top of it.
Yep,
All right,
okay,
thank you. Have a great day.
you too.
Okay, the next victim is Treasurer Johanna. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. A few things going on in the Treasurer's office right now. As Clerk Miller mentioned, we attended the budget and levy training down at the State Tax Commission last week, and that was very beneficial, learned a lot, had a lot of discussion about this new House Bill 292. And as the clerk mentioned, there is going to be a lot of changes this year, and a lot of it falls on the tax bill. So today at 10 o'clock, there's a rules meeting at the State Tax Commission. I'm going to join via phone to hear if they're going to provide some guidance for the treasurers on how this is all going to look. But the Treasurers Association is very on top of it. We've already met and discussed several times about the redesign of the tax bill. All the 3 changes that are primary changes in the House Bill 292 need to be listed on the tax bill, so that's going to be a change from previous years. The software we use, Aumentum, is supported by the State Tax Commission, and we're very lucky in that sense because the State Tax Commission is on it. They've been working on the redevelopment and the reprogram that needs to happen with this new property tax change. So while it is maybe a little bit concerning that there is so much change that needs to be enacted this year, I'm feeling very comfortable with the resources that we have through the tax commission.
Joanne, are they asking you to show like the last year's levy rate versus this year, or what is the?
No, so there is a change that has to do with the assessment notice, and I believe that that doesn't go into effect until next year, and that would require showing previous year's values. But this year, what needs to happen is there's going to be 3 different property tax reductions. The first one is the school credit, and essentially the state is going to send sales tax surplus directly to the schools, and therefore they're going to reduce the amount they ask for on their L2s when they're submitted to the clerk. And the treasurer is required to show on the tax bill how much their levy is reduced based on the money that they received. So that's item number one.
They have to do that. They can't use it and just increase their budget somewhere else.
That is correct. It has to reduce a bond
Right.
or supplemental levy. There is one school district in the state of Idaho that has neither a bond nor supplemental levy. So that district will not actually show any property tax reduction, but the money can go into a fund for capital improvements at that district. Number 2 is the homeowner exemption credit. So anybody in the state that has a homeowner's exemption will receive money from the state sales tax surplus. And that credit is going to be shown as a line item on the tax bill. And then the third item is the additional tax credit, and that is money that's for everyone. So commercial property owners, second homeowners, and this is again surplus from the state sales tax, and it as well needs to be shown as a credit on the tax bill. So we'll see 3 new items on the tax bill this year. 1, the amount that the school levies were reduced. Number 2, the amount of a homeowner credit. And then number 3, the additional credit.
On the homeowner exemption one, because it shows that now on your tax bill, if I remember right.
It shows
Maybe
the
it's on my
amount of
assessment.
assessed value that is exempt from taxation, which will still be visible on the tax bill. But this is a credit very similar to PTR. So it's going to show a negative amount of tax that has been reduced from your tax bill. So you'll still see the homeowner's exemption, which is exempt assessed value from taxation. But then as well, you will see a dollar amount, say a $50 credit in reduction in property taxes.
So is the treasurer's feeling like, excuse me, they need to have some kind of a letter to explain all this when the tax go out, or what's their plan there?
I'm the wrong person to ask this because I'm pretty calm about the situation. There's a lot of panic going on from treasurers statewide not because of all the changes, but because of the timeline for the implementation of the changes. And I mean, I could go into a really long, detailed explanation about this, but essentially the timetable for turning around all of the information is very, very short. And there is a lot of concern that tax bills will not go out by the 4th Monday of November. And the tax commission is aware of this. And there hasn't been any discussion on what the ramifications of that will be, whether the due date is extended or it's all up in the air right now. So the major problem with it is that the tax commission isn't able to determine how much money each county and each taxing district is going to get until everybody's budgets are prepared and the initial tax calculations have gone out.
Okay.
And so everyone has to be done with that process and send it off to the tax commission, and then they calculate all the numbers and send it back to us, and then we can begin our tax drive. So typically we'd have about 5 to 6 weeks to do the tax drive, including all of those portions. And this year it's going to be reduced to about 3 weeks. So if anything goes wrong in any of the processes, there's going to be delays. And unfortunately, in years past, it's been pretty staggered. Different counties are at different points of creating their tax bills. So when they reach out to the tax commission for guidance and direction, the tax commission isn't overwhelmed with requests because everybody's staggered in the process. But this year, everyone will be at the same step of the process at the same time, and it's going to be a little overwhelming for them.
And remind me again, when do those budgets have to be in? 31st of October?
So the budgets have to be in earlier than that, and then Doug would be able to answer that question. Once the budgets are finalized and all of the assessed values from the counties have been finalized and sent to the tax commission, the initial levy rates are calculated.
Right.
The L2s, when are those due?
I believe that they're due to us from the taxing districts by the 15th of September.
Ooh.
And then I believe we have to get them to the state tax commission by the 29th. It's either the 22nd or the 29th. I apologize. I don't have that calendar in front of me.
And the good news is this year there's actually 5 Mondays in October, so there is an additional week built in there. But in future years, when that's not the case, we're going to be even more crunched for time. So a pretty serious discussion needs to happen in the legislature this next year about the timing of all of that. I, of course, am very optimistic. I'm like, well, we're just going to put our nose to the grindstone and work through it when it comes. But I will communicate that there is a lot of panic and angst amongst.
There's no
Commissioners,
penalty
I
for
apol-
being, there's no penalty for being a little late.
There is no penalty for being late, but I will say, as the treasurer, I feel very strongly that individuals should have at least 30 days from when they receive their tax bill to when it is due. There's been instances in the past where levies have been incorrect and treasurers have had to redo billing. And then in that case, they extend the deadline. I don't know if there's a discussion of statewide extending the deadline or if it would be a county by county basis, but it's unfortunately, we're not going to know until we get there. So it could be a disaster and it could be very delayed, or it could go off smoothly this first year. We're just not sure until we go through it.
You go through it.
Okay. We also have an action item.
Yes, a few other things. So this week, we're going to work on preparing the reminder notices and try to get those out in the mail by next Tuesday.
Good.
And then I have been working with the assessor's office and the prosecuting attorney on a homeowner's exemption tax recovery that we're going through right now. We're making sure that we're following Idaho code to the letter and get that back tax calculated and get that sent out. And then my action item is a request to shred some documents. So a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a couple months ago now, had a public records request, and I had to go through every box that's sitting in the vault in my office there and realized that based on the record retention policy, a lot of those boxes, 19 of them to be exact, are old documents. So the record retention requirement is 5 years for the documents. Did you get a list emailed to you? It should have come out in your packet.
I don't
I
think
have
so.
a single copy here I can show you. Essentially, it's from the years about 2006 to 2018, and these are batch breakdowns. So receipts of each of the batches that my office has processed for payments, interest turnover, tax drive documents, yield and deferred, a few budget items and investment interest items, warrants of distraint, essentially everything that's outside of that retention policy.
So you got all these, so you just don't have to keep those anymore. So it's not putting them on the cloud or whatever. You just
Correct.
don't
They're
have to keep.
not scanned into Laserfish, and I don't intend to do that unless you feel that it's necessary. Essentially, they're documents that are no longer needed. I don't anticipate that we would ever need to go back and pull an interest turnover record from more than 5 years ago.
Okay.
There is a bulk shred scheduled for this month. We just need to let them know how many boxes, and And it was recommended that I approach you and make sure that it's all right before I go ahead and destroy all the documents.
Yep, I think that's great. Get rid of the stuff.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the bulk shred.
A second.
Moved and seconded to shred 19 boxes, you
19
said?
boxes.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. One question, what was the public information request for?
It was for tax records from 1972 at the beginning of the Payette Water and Sewer District
Oh, my.
until current. And I really want to thank the prosecuting attorney's office for helping me work through. We have actually had a lot of public records requests lately, and we're getting that process refined in the office and getting a system put in place so that it's pretty consistent for everybody who does have a public records request. Unfortunately, the tax records from the 1990s, I have not been able to find. So the tax roll is a permanent record that needs to be kept. And thus far, without activating an old server computer system, I think it was the AS400 was the name of it, I have not been able to find the tax records from the 90s. So we have everything from the 1970s until 1991, and then from 2001 forward.
1972.
I don't even know who the treasurer was, do you?
I don't either. We contacted Glenna, and she
That's way before Glenna.
well, and she thought that they were in digital form. So then we started looking for like CDs and floppy disks, and there's these like cassette style.
Really old.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But there weren't printed records that we could find. So there are the turnover from the 90s are in boxes out in the storage at Gold
And
Dust.
gold dust.
And that does provide some information, and I don't intend to get rid of any of that type of stuff, but it's not the actual tax roll. So that is what I'm not able to find.
Interesting.
And another reason to scan everything.
Yes,
Not looking for paper documents.
yes.
Yeah,
My office has
available.
spent hours looking through old boxes and paper documents, trying to find that. And we've just had quite a few public records requests. It's becoming a bit time consuming, but it's all right because we're slow right now. I'm just thankful it didn't hit during the busy time.
It's not cost effective.
Right.
Sorry, you got to go through that.
It's all part of the process, and happy to provide information to the public. It's, I wish it were a little bit more organized, but we're working on that.
Okay, anything else?
No,
Good.
nothing for me.
All right, thank you. Have a great
Thank
day. We'll get on to department heads. First one up is Annette, and she's not here. Skip. Good morning.
Refer to my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. So first, we talked about it before, but just a reminder that Steve is going to be going to post for adult misdemeanor probation. That's going to be August 6th through September 1. Coming up. Got his packet complete. I have to go through it and do the final thing and get that sent off, but I don't foresee any problems with that. And a request, and I don't know if this is a decision time or just to think about it, but after doing our active shooter training and doing some considerations with Steve, I asked IT to look at the conference room to see if that would be suitable for setting up an office in there. And I'd like to consider getting like some sort of partition board or something, but make that like half an office space for him. Because sitting up front, it's just, he's wide open. There's a piece of plexiglass, it's just, I don't think in that kind of environment, it's a safe place. So, and also for him, he just has a lot of work and he's constantly, everybody that comes to the door, whether it's McCall PD or not, he gets a lot of disturbances and
ends up doing the vast majority of all the UAs for all of us because he's up there and he's that type of person.
You might talk to Buildings and Grounds, because I know there was some old screens from other offices, but I don't know if that's what you're thinking about. Or-
Well, it's just, there's just no, I mean, if somebody comes in with a gun,
Sure.
I mean, there's just nothing but him up there. Call PD's behind 2 inches of glass. And it's one of those things you don't want to worry about. At the same time, you want to do what you can. And we went through the training that was mentioned as a concern, and trying to look at cost efficient ways to manage that. And really at this point, the conference room, we don't generally use the conference room, we use the courtroom. It's a much bigger space. It's open. There would still be half of that available basically for whatever needs.
And there's a door on the conference room, isn't there?
There is, just like the rest of the building. Yeah.
So if somebody came in, then who would be there to direct traffic?
Well, so what we have up there is we have a sign and a bell, which is kind of handmade. We could make that look better. But essentially, they would just come in, and if they needed help and somebody wasn't up there, we do a lot back and forth. That's where our printer is. That's where we're doing all our UAs, processing money. So there's a lot of traffic up there anyway. But if somebody's not there, even now they just ring the bell, and one of us go up there quickly to address that, whoever's available.
Just getting partition board, I mean, it needs to be professional. I mean, I would put in a ticket with Scott and see what can be done.
Well, and I was kind of leaning that direction, but I thought that for right now it'd be best to hold off, considering what might be done as far as add-ons or extensions
Right.
with the annex. So it would just be, we could do something temporary, quickly, and wouldn't cost anything, really, just some time. And IT said that wouldn't be a problem. And then just depending on how other plans unfold, kind of going from there, making requests.
Do we have in that Clearwater agreement or Clearwater stuff, wasn't there a piece in there for adding on to that annex?
One of the ideas.
One of the ideas was that you guys are needing more office space. Is that what's going on, Skip?
Well, no, I mean, we have enough offices for each one of us. And then there's also the judges' chambers.
Right.
It's just that office space, it's just wide open. If you go into the annex, you'll see, and just, it's not really a safe place if somebody's coming in as an active shooter.
Sure.
So is he using the old little DMV area? Because
Yeah.
we could put bulletproof glass in that.
We can, and
That might be more cost effective than doing anything else right now.
well, it wouldn't be as far as just like doing what I'm thinking, like a partition. Back in 2012, I did the ordering for the glass for the court clerks, and that's not bulletproof, and that was over $3,000 for that. And so I don't imagine things have gotten any less. But I just wanted to, it's not a decision I'm asking for today. I wanted to bring it to your attention. I think that this is the most efficient way and the most inexpensive way right now, until we can develop a plan and move forward. So I could just get your consideration and thoughts on that. And if you want to think about it for a while, that's fine too. I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, next time I'm up there, I'll try and swing by and take a look at it. Skip. I'm usually up there once a week, so
All right. I
we can all
appreciate
stop
that.
and look and come up with some ideas there.
Does the courtroom still get used?
What's that?
The courtroom still get used as a courtroom?
No, the Supreme Court came and took everything out of it. It was used before current Judge Dingledine, for juvenile court, which was once a month, but apparently it just wasn't cost effective because the court clerk had to go all the way down there for half a day sometimes, and maybe a full day, and the workload, and then the not having an extra clerk here, that was a stress. So the Supreme Court took out all the computer stuff. You couldn't have court in there right now unless the judge used the laptop, and I don't know what a court clerk would do. I'd have to figure it out.
No, but I think it's kind of important we keep that as an option. If we end up doing some remodeling in this facility, we may need that.
Well,
as a
and
courthouse or courtroom until we get another facility done someday. But
I'm not asking for anything. The only thing I want in there is just like I've told you before is the ability to have Zoom meetings.
right,
But it's a big space. It can, safely hold 20.
so can you have Zoom meetings in there now?
Not yet,
Not yet.
but Jeremy's on it.
Okay.
I've talked to him about it. So I'm not asking for any remodel in the courtroom. Just that's what we use primarily. Once in a while, we'll have more things going on, but I believe we can accommodate that. We can work it out. Dee Dee, she's going to be doing some training for IDJC and a couple other counties over the next couple months. She's also going to be doing the youth summit that YAC does every year. And last time you asked me about suicide prevention, what we're doing for that. And so I looked on there, what they have available, and they're doing 2 table talks, one with teens and one with parents each month, it appears. There's also a resiliency training that was held May 4th at St. Luke's. But during VCorp meeting tomorrow, I can ask them specifically. Oh, and there's also a workshop at Cascade May 23rd, which I don't have the agenda for that. But it does look like there, resiliency, that's right in there with that. Preventing self-harm and suicide and learn how to deal with things. So I'll ask them specifically how they're targeting that and what they're doing tomorrow. And can get back to you with that. Let's see, we don't have any kids in detention. And I think that's about it for the youth side. Nothing else really going on in probation. No major
Skip, the
problems. Yes.
detention area there at the annex is still being used.
Excuse me, what?
The detention area there at the annex is still being used.
That's where McCall PD is.
Well, they've got that whole area.
Yeah, they remodeled that whole thing, and the old gym court, they got that all covered up, and that's where they keep evidence.
Oh,
And I think that was part of the expansion area because they could use more room too.
so when you're keeping kids for detention, where do you house them?
In Ada County or Canyon County is where
Oh,
we have
really?
our 2 contracts.
Oh, wasn't aware of that. Okay.
And going into that expansion, if there was like one of my wish list things is if we had a holding cell for a juvenile, because they have to be separate and apart from adults.
Right.
They can't hear them or see them when they're being held. And so if there was an extension, there was a place where McCall PD or the Sheriff's Department could park them while they're trying to figure out transportation and keep them held securely. I think
how are they
that'd
doing
be-
it now, Skip? They bring them down here to our jail?
Well, it's kind of, they're not taking them to the jail. No, I mean, it's kind of like holding on to them or wait until they got it figured out and then going and picking them up. It's a work in motion every time with different circumstances. Sometimes they might be with us for a while because, I mean, the jail, they're short staffed. They have to do the transport. Sometimes we help them because they have to have 2 people.
How often
one
does
of
that
the-
happen? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's hit and miss. It's like everything else. There's an ebb and flow. Sometimes you could have, particularly, say 2 or 3 kids that are really going through it, and you can have a lot of issues in a short period of time, or you could go a couple months and not have anything. So I couldn't really look at data and give you any kind of solid statistics, but I could say safely at least 10 times a year and up to 20.
That's really good to know because we haven't talked about that issue in the past. 10 to 20 times a year is quite a bit.
And that's, a lot of those are, it's kind of what I was telling you before, the auto detained. So it's like condition of bond for juveniles. And they violate their auto detain, like whereabouts unknown or drugs or alcohol or acts of violence. And so those are kind of the immediate that come up anytime, day or night. Something happens and they do an auto detain and they're off.
McCall PD doesn't have a room like that on the McCall City side?
No.
Is there's, as McCall PD, I mean, they're, of course, city, but they're just leasing that facility from us.
Yeah.
But Have they got any plans for building their own facility down the road?
To be honest with you, I haven't been part of any conversations, not even with the exception, I've just been made generally aware. So I don't know what plans the city of McCall might have. All I can tell you is just the general vibe I've gotten from McCall PD is they could use some more room. That's all I could tell you.
That's been a topic of discussion for a while, whether they would buy us out or whether we want to maintain that annex or what. But I think,
And maintaining the annex is smart.
yeah, it is. I agree. I think that during this Clearwater review, that will be one of the conversations, and maybe providing a little bit more room for them too. But hopefully they could help with the cost. So Skip, the conversations we have had are like runaways, mental health issues, those types of things, where Shepherd's Home was able to take these kids for a while. What I'm hearing from you are these are kids that are in legal trouble that have to be held, not necessarily just ones that need to be watched until either their parents come or, we find another way to help them. Is that a true statement?
That's correct. I'm talking about kids that are detained.
That are, okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
no option of choice. They're going down to detention, and it's just a matter of working it out. Compared to, hey, we need a respite or a break, or and there might be some legal things that come from that, but it's not to the point where we have to just take them straight to detention. Not a new
My
crime.
concern is you said they may be with you sometimes. That's not your role or your group's role, so that could be a concern to me. But
Refu-
secondly, it's probably taking a police officer off the street in order to stay with these kids long enough to be able to move them to another facility.
That is a concern for the sheriff's department. That absolutely is. And ultimately, whether it's a kid picked up by McCall PD or not, it falls upon the sheriff's department to get that transportation done and sometimes stay with them. But I was confused about, I said what?
You just said, well, sometimes they stay with us.
Oh,
So are they at the
well, they
facility?
might be at the annex, I mean.
I know, but
Yeah.
even at the annex, if you've got a child that's in trouble or, legally, I'm concerned that they're with one of you in that facility, either alone or, is there a risk there?
Well, we haven't had to do it after hours, and it would just depend on the kid. So a lot of these, Dee Dee has such a good relationship and knowledge about them. Those come and stay. And what it would look like is stay put. We'll keep them entertained. We'll give them something. If you try to bail, we'll call the police. We're not going to tackle them. We're not going to wrestle them. If we're worried about safety or anything, law enforcement would say, no, we're concerned about people's safety and we're just going to handle it. So those are circumstances where most likely it's not detained because somebody used marijuana, not because they're necessarily a danger. So, but still, a detainment, permanent or temporary place where we could house kids safely that meets up with our criteria on the federal side and state side for juveniles. It would be handy to have, and it would help law enforcement because there's sometimes their deputies are off the street, and managing that for hours. So,
But how do we document that for the Clearwater, review? Is that something that we should pass along to,
Yeah, I think I
should
would
that come
definitely
from
pass it
us, or
along.
how do we get that to them?
I'm a little confused though, because if it's a McCall City juvenile, why isn't McCall City transporting down?
they're all
there?
Valley County cases. So in adult world, they're city of McCall or county.
Oh,
The jurisdictions are very clear,
that's
right?
Juvenile, it's
But
always the
juvenile
county.
are all Valley County
Okay,
cases.
good to know. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Okay.
Just like felony cases.
Yeah.
They're all Valley County.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wrap this up. So I have to go to Boise tonight. I'll be down there tomorrow. I have to take my truck in, get it fixed. I have a meeting and I'll be on call, but more or less I'm just off tomorrow and doing a couple things in the middle, taking care of it. Then I'll come back tomorrow evening and I'll be here for the rest of the week. In June 6th, I have to go to Moscow for a day for IAC
All right,
meetings.
see, yep.
And other than that, I don't really have anything going on, except for in June, I'll probably be looking to take some time off between moving and salmon fishing. But
Okay.
pick that up when it comes.
Great.
Moving.
You do smoke your salmon and share it with others.
I do. I don't even like salmon. I give it away. Just like
You're getting
cattle.
closer to town?
What's that?
You moving closer to town?
No,
No?
we're getting rid of our place in Boise, so we just have one home.
Got it.
It's just too much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe.
Melissa. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
So I'll catch you up on what I've been up to, what I'm doing, and what we're planning. And I'll do my announcements, and then I'll do the announcements for the 4-H program. So we had a Master Gardener meeting a couple of weeks ago, and that went really well. We do meetings 3 times per year just to get on the same page. And so that meeting, we launched this Master Gardener Herbarium project, which is basically this really cool plant mounting process, and then we're laminating those sheets. And it's just to give a real visual example of what you can grow in the area. And so it's nice. They're gorgeous.
You have snow all over it?
Yeah.
Basically 0 to grow here?
I showed Steve the mounts, and I asked him, well, I don't know if I asked him or if he was like, I want to do this too. But somewhere at the end of that conversation, we were like, okay, let's do this same type of thing for the invasives. So then there's a really clear visual, not just a picture book, but like, here's the plant, it's mounted. And so he's going to get folded into that and do some plant presses. And we're going to have to get creative because some of those thistles are really thick. So we'll have to figure out how to slice them if we can. So we're kind of going down that route too. It's always fun how one thing leads to the next. And so, yeah, there'll be some good learning, physical learning tools at the end of this process. That's what I'm hoping. The Master Gardeners were at the Arbor Day last Saturday doing a tabling and outreach, and that was at France Whitty and McCall. And then I was at the NACDEP, which is the National Association of Community Development Extension Professionals, and that was in Idaho this year. And I was at that last week.
And you got an award, didn't you?
I did get an award. Yes, I was going to save that to the end. It was educational technology, and it was for the Design Your Community U of I Together series. And so it was a fun 30-minute little video that's on YouTube underneath that U of I Together series, and it talked about some economic development principles, the tie-bout model, where people vote with their feet on where they want to be. And so it talked about in-migration coming to Idaho. And I won't go into too much depth about what the video was. You can watch it for yourselves. But this idea or concept that people coming here are different than the people that are here. And there was a study done by BSU that I was referencing, and it showed that the values and the political values and the kind of personal values are very much in alignment. And so the people coming here are voting with their feet because this is where they fit in. So it's like, get in where you fit in. And so I thought that was interesting. Tie about economic theory aligning with some research and data. And then I did an activity with the neighborhood kids, and they had a chance to do Block City where they got to do some development, and we talked about development patterns. So it was really fun.
And this is on YouTube.
It is on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link.
Okay. I was really surprised, as I always am, to get any sort of recognition nationally, especially for just like a little video that I put together. Okay. Anyway, that was nice. And then I got some really great tools at that conference, which is why we go to skill up and network with peers and professionals and see what other folks are doing. And the tools that I'm really excited about, but I don't know where they fit in, was on community branding and coming up with identity for place, and not just individual identity, but collective identity. And so for those that are, I did an I am poem at that workshop, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. But essentially you do this I am poem for individuals, and people have done it with like 70 ranchers in communities. And so they're like, if I can get 70 ranchers to do this, I can get you to do this. And then you come up with a we are. So it transitions from I am, my personal identity, into who are we as a community with all of these eyes. So anyway, it's really good. Fun Fire Prevention Day. That was this past Saturday. And so I got back from the conference and hit the ground running, and that was really well attended. It was this rainy day. It was gray. I thought we were going to go and nobody was going to show up. But Smokey the Bear was out in the corner waving to people, and we put a tent up over him, and people stopped, and then they'd come on down. And so it was really, I was busy the whole time I was there. So that was great. Seed swap's coming up Wednesday night, and I've comboed that with Advanced Master Gardener class. And so the seed swap will be focusing on people having a seed exchange or talking gardening, but we're also talking pollinator. And so we'll be talking about native bees there too. And then this Thursday's the integrated pest management training with Steve. And so I'll be presenting and attending that to get some credits. And then 4-H. So Allison, Jill, and Katie have been doing lots of good stuff. And so swine weigh-in was this past Saturday. And then Allison attended the 4-H professional development meeting, and she will be the lead. The leads, they're calling it leads, and I don't remember what it stands for, but it's essentially the teen state 4-H program. And so teens from around the state can come and do a retreat, and it will be focused on health and wellness and STEM. And then that conference will be in the fall and held at the local YMCA camp here. And then Katie continues to do after-school programming, scheduling STEM days for McCall, Dowling, and Cascade throughout the summer. And then my last announcement, this Saturday, if you have stuff in your garage or you're doing some spring cleaning, make sure to get it to the fairgrounds this week, because this Saturday is the 4-H Leaders Council fundraiser. And so whether you want to donate stuff this week or you want to attend that event on Saturday to support it, this is kind of the time to swap your junk. So get it out of your garage and go find some more treasure. And so I wanted to make that quick announcement.
Can we make it like a yard sale?
Yeah, it's a yard sale on Saturday.
Honey, yard sale.
What time does that start?
Wish I had time this week.
I don't know from memory. I'd have to look at the flyer. I don't want to say a time that's not. But I
Make
can
sure
send
you
you the
hit his
flyer
shop
too.
first.
Do you have any questions?
Great job.
Thank you. And I'll send that designer community link so you can watch that.
One question, did we ever get the lease signed for the gals renting upstairs?
So I know that there was some questions about the lease, and I just advised Emily to contact Ryan and for them to work out the details, and then I would wait until those details were worked out to be able to.
But she's in there now?
She's not in there now.
Okay.
Yeah, she was visiting for a little bit, but she's not. Yeah, she was just like as a visitor, but she's not there.
Okay. If she was there, I'd say we'd have to push that, but if she's not, we still got some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you be around your office tomorrow?
Yes.
We got a meeting in the morning, and won't take very long, but I might catch up with you right after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be available from like 10 until noon.
Okay, I'll give you a holler when we get done and see if we can catch up.
That'd be wonderful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate it. We got to move on.
Okay.
Pat. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. All right, I don't have a lot to report. I'm just trying to get things ready for Mike, who's starting on the 16th. And really have been not just getting things ready, but I've had a lot of other things going on. They're just HR related. Let's see. So next Tuesday, it's Mike starting the new detention deputy and a new road tech. So we have 3 people starting. It's like one goes out the door, another one comes in, and so we're always recruiting because we
Does the
lose
road
them
tech
since
have
we-
housing?
What's that?
Does the road tech have housing?
Yes,
Oh, good.
yes. What a relief, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. I have been working on salaries. The IAC and the Department of Labor, they haven't released their salary surveys yet. But I've been doing things like just going out and finding things online where I can. It's not pretty. I'll just say that. I'm a little concerned
We're
with,
too low.
in some areas, yes, yes.
Well, I know I just found out this morning that Jim Plan is looking at a 9.5% increase.
Yes.
So that's another issue that we're.
I have asked Jim Plan to go sharpen their pencils and come back with some options for us. Because we may need to look at changing up our benefits a little bit and see if we can reduce that cost. Because it's costing the county an awful lot, plus
A lot.
it's costing the employees a lot that have dependents. So is there something that we can do to maintain a certain integrity of the benefits that we have, that benefit people, but also provide, a little less cost? So I've asked, I know they're working on it. I just want it done now. So,
So the ones that are leaving us, because we have had quite a few resignations in the last week, is it salary related? Is it housing? Is it just better opportunities elsewhere?
Eat all the above.
yeah, one of them was, I think it was more of a promotion salary type thing. The other two have been purely housing. One of them, in the road tech person, has been staying with his aunt and uncle, but can't get a place of his own, even though he's paid at a decent level as a road tech. He can't find a place where he can move into because they're so expensive. And then the second one, the one that we just got today, it's the same circumstance. She's actually losing her lease. They're kicking her out of her apartment at the end of May, and she's not been able to find anything. So she was able to get an opportunity in another city. I think it's Emmett, but, and so it's combination. We don't pay enough for people to be able to stay here, especially if they're a single person. So, it's a tough situation for us, and we only have so much money that we can put into things. So I keep that in mind every time I'm looking at it. But like the DMV clerks, we've got them way lower than some of the other counties do. So we may need to increase that position, and it's a tough position. So, and I don't know nobody knows what's going to happen with DMV anyway, but if we're going to have people there, we might want to look at raising that position just to keep them.
Are they tracking what their activity is since everything's gone online? Do we know numbers?
Yeah, Meg has been good at that. I think they can, I don't know whether they can pull it off the system or how they can do it, but she's been monitoring how much activity that they have. So,
Pat, I know at one time we talked about keeping you retained for a while as kind of a contract position for HR. Are you still interested in doing that?
I would still do it as you need to. I
So-
think,
Can we get that on the agenda and kind of finalize that discussion, or do you think we need to go that far?
I think we need to wait until Mike's here and we have an opportunity to talk to him
Okay,
and see what, he feels his needs are. I am concerned about, obviously, the salary part of it. I don't know how much experience he has with that. I mean, I know he's got the Department of Labor part of things, but I'm not sure how much experience he says in salary. So that part's a little iffy, but, he'll work through it. He'll learn it. So I'm here to help whatever you need me to help with
and you said he's coming on the 16th?
next week.
So you'll be around for 6 weeks anyhow.
Yeah,
after he
yeah, I'll
starts.
be training him. Just trying to help make sure that he's successful.
Smooth transition.
Yeah, it's important for the employees and for you all.
Well, let's try and get together maybe after he gets started, a week or so after that, and kind of work out those details.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then recruiting was the only other thing I had on my list, so. Captain, stand by, and I had a long conversation this morning about what to do with bringing people from other agencies that have experience and trying to attract them here. And so I'll bring a proposal. I don't have it it's kind of a high level. One of the things that we threw out, I don't have a proposal or anything yet, but he talked about, somebody that has, let's say, 10 years of experience, could we give them the 5-year level of PTO so they would accrue PTO sooner? And those are some things to think about. He talked about bringing experienced people in and maybe giving them, front loading their PTO by 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what any of this looks like. So I'm going to do some research and stuff. Well, we are going to have to think outside of the box if we want experience. That kind of a incentive could work for a road department who's also struggling, get people.
So Sheriff's Department, how many positions are they down right now?
3.
3.
And that I mean, same in my world. I'm going to hire somebody that's an absolute journeyman. He's going to get top wage.
Yeah.
And that's the same kind of experience you're talking about. It doesn't matter if it's road department or what it is.
Right.
This guy comes in with this kind of experience, he deserves wage.
Which we do. The wages, we brought 2 deputies in last fall, and they had years of experience. So we recognize that in their pay when we brought them in. So that's something we're already working on and we already take care of.
It's such a fine balance.
It is
because
such a
we
fine balance.
Only have 3% increase.
Yeah.
And so, in order to service all of the employees, you have to be careful on, choosing a few and
Yep.
giving that extra incentive to.
Yep.
So it's going to be a tough year on what to do with salaries this year. So it's
I know it
it's really
is.
a balancing act.
Yeah. Between salaries and are there other perks that we can offer?
And housing is just, I don't know
It's
just
what we
a
can do
huge
about
issue.
housing. Yeah. I mean, that's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Pat, if we were going to do a 2-week PTO for new hires, wouldn't it be more advantageous to do a signing bonus instead?
So we could do all kinds of things like that. The PTO would be for somebody with years of experience. It wouldn't be everybody.
Right.
So
My
if you,
concern with that is they're not taking their PTO anyway.
well,
We're
exactly.
having to
I
pay
would just
out
thought of that.
PTO.
I thought of
And
that as
so
well. Yeah.
It's
It-
like it's not really good to give somebody something. You're going to have to pay them out anyway. So I don't know that that's a good resolution of what's
Exactly.
happening, especially
Exactly.
moving in to the summertime.
So I don't know. I don't know what the options are. Like I said, I don't have anything yet. I have to do some research and figure it out first.
Good.
But those are some of the things that we were brainstorming on this morning. So
All right, I'm glad we're thinking about it.
we're trying. I just don't know what the answer is. It's just it's tough right now,
I don't
right?
know that there is one answer.
I don't think there is.
I think that it's going to be a combination of lots of different things that, we're going to have to come up with.
Yep. And I think we have some untapped talent out there because they can't find daycare too. So it's a whole host of challenges.
Yep.
So, all right.
Thank you,
Cool.
Pat.
Thanks.
Jeremy. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. A pretty short week. I don't have a whole lot. Just trying to reorganize a little bit from our employee leaving and
He's staying in
taking
the
on-
area or is he totally leaving?
no, he took the open position at McCall PD.
That's what I thought.
So yeah, they kind of poached him from us.
Poached him.
Turnabout's fair play.
Maybe we need to raise the rent, huh?
Yeah, that's the industry term when somebody steals an employee from you. They poach them. So yeah, just trying to get caught up from that and kind of reorganize some things because I had to take over some things that he was doing and
I understand you've had some good applicants. Are we moving on those expediently? And hire?
yeah, there was one I think we're interviewing on Thursday.
Oh, okay, good. Perfect.
See how that works out. And then Lake Fork, I got done as much as can be done until Ziply gets their fiber in there. I have one more. I have to buy a network switch, but that's on its way. I've already ordered it. But beyond that, I just everything I can do. And like I said, I think Binghamton's down there working. They can use the DSL, like I said, until the other stuff gets in. So
Ziply, with fiber, how far out are they?
I don't know. Early spring. So the only thing they've been waiting on is Idaho pole permits from Idaho Power. And Idaho Power is taking months and months and months and months to get pole permits.
Oh,
done.
Idaho Power is coming this
They're
afternoon.
coming on our
Maybe there's a
budget,
little
or-
conversation to be had today.
Are they?
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, maybe you can see where they're, but
Did you tell Ziply that we don't have spring? We have early summer and then late summer 2 weeks later?
yep. about it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all I got going on. Just kind of trying to figure things out and reorganize things with just two of us being here. So
Yeah, you're gonna need some help. Can Tamara come in at all and help for a while, or
I can talk to her and see how she feels about that.
yeah, up to you? But I mean, that's one option you have. Have you had anybody on the GIS? Big app.
Yeah, we've had a few. So far they've all been. My only concern is so far they've all seemed like they're a little bit more entry level, which I know that we're trying to recruit people, but with JS, with our program being as mature as it is, and you know we still have some. I was thinking about we still have some sort of a few months left with Kara, and I have a line item that I always have in my budget for consulting services anyways, and you know she's not going anywhere. So even if we do get somebody full time, if you know we could do like some training or something
Absolutely.
through here to get somebody up to speed, you know there's options there too. So
Well, just keep pushing along.
we'll do.
It's a
Okay.
hard position to fill, so
Yeah.
if we get somebody, let's grab whoever's out there.
Thanks, Chairman.
Okay, yep, thanks.
Cinda. Good morning.
Morning. So we've been busy, you know that. We have 2 public hearings scheduled for this month, and then we had to break up June and schedule 2 more for June because of the number of things on the agenda. We're just busy. I have findings of fact and conclusions of law for CUP 22-34, Shoemaker Donnelly Storage for approval.
Yep,
Did you have a chance to review those?
yep, I did. Now, they all look good to me, so that everything captures that we want them to do, so. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the facts and conclusions for CUP 22-34.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Are you slowing down at all in conversations? With people coming in, or
No.
just no? No.
No, slow down. I would say a lot of our things on our agendas are because of code compliance.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's good. We knew that would happen.
Huh?
We knew that would happen.
Yeah, we expected that. It's like, I see those trucks parked out there, you know, get a hold of them, find out what they're doing. Oh, they need a CUP. So,
Eventually, that'll slow down a minute.
catching up.
It's summertime. It's going to ramp up here.
It's, what's that called? Ask for, don't ask for permission, ask for
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness?
forgiveness. That's it, yes.
I got a text and I'll forward it to you from a bunch of folks back in Warm Lake. They're gonna do a triathlon this year. Towards the end of summer. It's a bike, run, swim deal. It's based out of Warm Lake. And they asked what the county would need. And I said, well, normally on a first year deal like this, we kind of watch it and see if there's any concerns from the neighbors or any complaints. And then if there is, then we'll ask for you guys to come in if this is going to be an annual event. But I'm going to talk to Deb Filler, is the person I talked to. And they're really excited. The run is going to go from Warm Lake clear to Yellow Pine. Same thing with the bike. And then the swimming is going to be at Warm Lake Reservoir. And they're expecting a lot of national and international participation. So it's a great driver for that area and for those folks. So that's kind of where I set it up with her. And then I told her I would talk to you, and if there's anything else that you require, that you would be in contact with her. But I'll send you the email, and so you'll have the information.
Just give me that information.
Yep.
Typically, the first year, we let them do it if it's going to be an annual thing and if it's a change in nature or scope of the current land use activity outside of a public right-of-way, then we would require the conditional use permit.
And
Bike races things on a public right-of-way, I mean, it's a public right-of-way.
it is, and so is the run. And she has already been in contact with the sheriff's department, and I think they're going to participate as far as the roads and that kind of issue. But that's kind of where I left it.
And sometimes if they have over 500 people, they get the large gathering permit from the sheriff. They should probably look at getting that this year.
Yeah, and I think she talked about that, but I'm gonna forward it to you
Okay.
and let you look at it.
Thank you.
Anything else for Cinda?
Good.
All right, thank you. Larry, good morning.
That group will also need permits from the Forest Service to run that.
So somebody's gonna have to approach them about that.
Yeah, they'll have to get hold of Cascade District.
You want me to forward this to you as well?
Yeah, if you want to, I can do it. I'll
Okay.
send them the information, the contact, if there actually is any contact at the Cascade right now.
You got it.
So let's see where we get to start. Let's start with fun stuff, grants. So I listened to the IDPR board meeting, made it through the grant part. It was quite difficult. We received a grant for Brush Creek. Brush Creek is the tables, fire pots, hardened pads, and a vaulted toilet, part of the vaulted toilet. Barton, the new slide, and the boat ramp at the back. We received those grants.
Awesome.
Clear Creek was the rough grade vault toilet. Most important one of all, we got the grant for the lawnmower. Bad news is we did not get the pickleball grant. And I'm confused by it. The comments from the people that went out and looked at it, they said it was because of the location. They said it was in the middle of a gravel pit and they didn't like it. So,
They who?
huh?
They who didn't like it?
Grant committee.
Well, the grant committee.
Yeah, there's each one, so ORMV, RV, RTP, Land Water Conservation Fund, they all have committees, the people that volunteer to be on the committee to score them, and they scored it quite low. So,
So Larry, are we looking for another site?
no. I talked to the pickleball people. Instead of putting 16 courts in, they'll probably put 8 courts in. And looking at some other possibilities for grants, like next year we could apply for an RTP grant, smaller grants to build this thing out and do it right.
And I think they just need to see a long-term plan, a vision for that whole area. So over the next
I
couple
agree.
years, we could probably envision something,
It's too bad. I was talking to David downstairs about it a little bit. I wish we could find that original plan that we had for that area, recreational plan, but nobody's been able to come up with it. So maybe it's time to maybe we can get Brecken to take a look at it and put something together for us. Because, I mean, if you just drive by that road and take a look at it, I could see why it might have scored low. But, long-term plan would have made a big difference, I think.
Larry,
wait
when-
until
Oh, sorry.
the Clearwater plan gets complete. And we see some recommendations back and forth and
Yeah.
we can envision something different there.
Larry, the long-term plan you're talking about, when did that come out?
So Curtis had it. That's the only time I've ever seen it. And he was going to put together the plan on potential parking lots. And that's the last time we saw any of
Okay,
that.
let me look at my stuff at home and here and see if I have that, because I have seen that.
It was really well put together.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had
yeah.
fishing holes and hiking paths and jogging paths and all sorts of stuff put together. So the total, we'll receive 246,000, almost 247,000. And it's all in the budget currently. We've got, so that's all 23 stuff, not 24 stuff.
Does that include the match for the bathrooms?
Yes.
Good, good.
Yeah. Now it'll just, so now we get to start the build out. We got to get the contractors, we got to get the permitting, we got to get, working with Kinsey. She's going to be handling all the financial paperwork on it. And at the same time, writing the new grants for 24. So now we've got the system rolling. We just got to keep it going.
So Larry, on just some of these grants and stuff like deal with like that Turkey parking lot you're talking about up there.
That'll
Boulder.
be 24. These
That'll
are
be
all
24.
23s.
So
so
there
this
won't be
is-
no work done on that this year.
No.
Oh, that's
No, we're
unfortunate.
applying, well, first, actually, it's a combination thing. We were talking about that earlier. First, we got to get permission from IDL for the lease.
Right.
And we're going to present to IDL. I talked to Jason King the other day. We're going to try to get things to him in the next 2 or 3 weeks on what we want to see. they just want a generic version of it, then what they'll do is they'll talk to the Boise office and come up with an idea of what the leases will cost. After we get that agreement, then we start writing the grants for all that stuff. So it is a process.
Yeah. My process is a lot faster than theirs.
Oh, boy, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I just want to like
Yeah.
there.
I get it.
This
So-
is good news. This is all good news.
Oh, it's going good. I feel real positive. Even the pickleball thing it's disappointing because those ladies did an incredible amount of work. And they did a really good job. I wouldn't mind having them do some of our other work. They did great.
Tell them to hang on to it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Dave had his public meeting on the Sampson Trail project, had about 30 people show up. There were some comments, and so we're working on the comments. Our biggest challenge right now is putting together an RFP for that. We looked at the road department one, and it was a little basic, so we've actually gone online and we're looking at, because we'd like to put together an RFP that works for the whole county. That includes everything. Is it going to be, has questions in it? Is there going to be any penalties? If it's not done on time and stuff like that? So we do it properly. We'll get a boilerplate version, get it to that gentleman. And when he gives it the blessing, then we'll work farther forward and get an
Oh,
RFP out.
didn't you get us some boilerplate RFP forms? Where have I seen those?
No, and I asked, I talked to IDPR about it, and they said they used to have a boilerplate, but like everything else, everything starts going into litigation. So they actually build one every time they do a plan. So I talked to IDL, and they think they have a boilerplate down at the Boise office they're going to try to get to us.
Good.
And we'll also go online and look at some of those.
Now, Larry, when you said penalties, you're talking about a timeline?
Well,
If you don't
it-
get done by this date, you get penalized?
I probably shouldn't say it, but it's kind of like, so say we have a bridge that's supposed to get done during a period of time, and all of a sudden it doesn't get done for a year. Well, to motivate them to get that bridge done, you have a penalty package that's, if you're not done by here, here's what it's going to cost you.
Well, that's a tough one,
It is a tough one.
especially up in this country. That's a tough one. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not a fan of that, but that's, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's kind of like an
Sent from a
IDPR grant where
Self-employed contractor.
Yeah, exactly.
there's boxes you check off. Yeah, it says, are you going to charge a fee? If you check that you're not going to charge a fee, no matter how long you've got that park or whatever, you can't charge a fee. That's the mistake that was made over at the Camel Creek Boat Ramp, is they didn't have a fee on it, so they can't ever charge launching fees there. Spring maintenance is going pretty well. We're waiting for valves, bearings, and a fan for that one hydraulic cooler. And we don't know when they're going to come in, so we may not finish spring maintenance in spring. It may end up being a fall thing once we get all the parts and pieces. Starting the opening of Wellington and Cabarton. And if anybody wants to start a pool on when we're going to open up Boulder, that's, I don't know, maybe July. There's a lot of snow up there.
Oh, man.
More coming.
Oh, that's, yeah,
Thanks for that.
yeah.
I'm surprised how fast it's going, though.
It is, but it's not going way up high. They're still almost 7 feet at CSASH Summit. I feel those people keep calling, when are you guys going to open up? And oh my gosh. And there's good writing. If you can get to it, there's
May
some great.
24th of 2024.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're always talking about
End of
24.
July before we get in there.
Anyway, that's all I got. If you guys have any questions.
Nope.
We're good.
Cool, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
And you guys need a break, or can we move on?
Let's just move on.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, so Scott, come on up. Our next agenda item is buildings and grounds, and
I tend to agree with him.
But it still needs to be on the form so that you can.
good morning.
Morning.
Did you get your leak fixed at the jail?
Yep, it's fixed now and stuff. It was just a joint that probably never was actually properly glued.
Wasn't glued. Didn't
No.
look like it was.
When you were out
glued.
there, look, yeah, when it slid off, there was no trace of any glue on that joint. And we've, our glycol level's been going down in the loop, and and it has an automatic makeup water on it. And I think that's probably just been seeping in that, it's real sandy, so it didn't come to the surface. And so we put $1,500 worth of glycol in it, and we still probably need to put another $1,500 in to get it up to the proper level and stuff. So,
That was a big leak.
yep.
Okay.
So, and is there an action item on there for?
Yeah, for Cascade Refrigeration.
Yeah, we're gonna replace the furnace and repair the AC up there is what it is.
I thought this was for the old Whitecap building. No?
No, no.
Where's this?
This is up at the annex. Last year, the AC
Oh,
went
oh.
down. So this is to replace the condenser and compressor.
Is this a propane furnace or
Yeah, it's a
electric?
propane furnace.
Propane, okay.
Yep, it's all four furnaces up there are propane. And the coil is not conducive to the new upgrades, so we'd have to tear the whole furnace out to replace the coil anyway. So this is a furnace, this is the whole works, labor and everything.
And
For 8720, that's
What?
pretty good. For
That's-
8,700.
I thought it was a
That's
dang
really
good, dang good deal, yeah. My parents went in our house, it was 13,000.
So this is a gas propane furnace.
Yep.
You're just replacing the whole
And
schmeal.
replace, yeah, because we have to pull it out to replace the coil anyway.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna do the whole thing at that time.
And you have this in your budget?
Yep. Mhm.
Doug, can we spend any of the magistrate money on this?
You could if,
It has a courtroom in the facility.
yes. The court facilities fund could be utilized to make these repairs if needed.
Interesting.
Well, I think that's something we need to look at instead of
Okay.
using Scott's budget.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mr.
So I'll
Chairman,
make
I
a
would-
motion that we sign the Cascade Refrigeration proposal for $8,720.
You guys have a copy of it?
Nope.
You want to put in that motion that they'll research where to take it from, or?
Yeah, I guess we could do, I'll amend my motion to have it paid for with court facilities funds.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep. What else you got?
Okay, so they're gonna start requiring burn permits May 10th. So that's when we'll start, the free, woody debris for residents only. Commercial still pay. Free dump days for spring will be June 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
So that's the free dump days. When Stephanie was in here, we talked about putting out the woody debris bins. That's before the holidays, right? Memorial Day.
Well, generally they kind of did it at the same time because I just lost her name. The gal, she's kind of the code enforcement for McCall up there. They generally use our lot across over there for the free dump days, but I guess due to road construction on Dinehart, they're not going to do it. But
I think Steph was putting out woody debris.
Yeah,
bins
I thought it was
before
May
Memorial Day, 24th. Yeah.
24th or something like that.
I don't, they don't coordinate that with me. It's kind of them and Meckel and stuff put them out.
So it's just the
But
free
that's
dump
when they're gonna
days.
start the burn permits, and generally, we run it when they start them, and then when they shut it off, so that's what we're gonna do there. Warm Lake, we're gonna go out Tuesday or Wednesday and put new locks on. And the North Shore Lodge, Sharon's there's gonna, we're gonna take her the list of the people that are entitled to keys, and they're gonna distribute them. There's what we're gonna do.
Good job on that.
I bought 4 locks. They're bigger locks. They have boron shanks. Cost me $182 for 4 of them. So they're basically bulletproof to anything except a grinder with a cutoff wheel. But so we're gonna get them up and going out there so they can start. They did an excellent job last year taking care of the site out there and stuff.
stuff, so.
So is those gates just accessing county property or what is it?
Yeah, it's actually both Warm Lake and Yellow Pine, we operate with a conditional use permit through the Forest Service. It's not our property. And the Forest Service put new gates at the road last year for just in from the road far enough you can pull in for us there. And we distribute keys. There's approximately 62 residents around Warm Lake. And they're the only ones really entitled to use it. And the church camp, and I did get a copy of the conditional use permit and all the hassle we went through with the lodges and stuff last year. There's not, that page is blank. You know, I don't know where all this came from through the Forest Service that they weren't allowed to use it, but there's nothing in the conditional work that says they can't use it. So we just have them. We have Warm Lake Lodge, North Shore Lodge, the church camps out there. They use it and stuff, and that's all. None of the recreationists or anything was supposed to be using it out there. Any contractors or anything else. It's just for the residents out there.
Okay.
We're going to get them going. Or I kind of covered the leak. I think Neil and I are going to have to meet with the Fair Board and just kind of figure out what's going on. They did submit a capital improvement with no numbers on it or any dates or times. We've got to get something worked out with them. They said they've been talking to, Casey said they've talked to contractors, but I guess no one's gotten anything back to them.
You know, Scott, I'm thinking, the more I think about that, I think this should probably be your job as far as RFPs for those contracts and not the Fair Board.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure they're going to be legit if it comes from the Fair Board.
Yeah.
I know it's more work for you.
Yeah. It's, I don't know if I got my time to deal with much more of that. They've kind of got to deal with that to a point or get numbers. And then if we have to RFP from that point or something, we can do it. But
Is this something we need to get me and you and Carl out there and just walk the site?
Well, we just got to sit down with them and get their direction because Casey's kind of the one that's, submitting it. I don't know if she's working with Carl. The big thing is we got to do something with the bathrooms. We got to sit down and make a decision. We're just going to have Jeff go down there and tear it down, and because they are disgusting.
Yep.
And then there's the question I'm getting from Allison from 4H, who cleans them after somebody uses them. Is the Fair Board responsible to get someone to clean it, or am I responsible to finally get somebody to clean it, or the people that used it responsible to clean it?
Well, I know when it's open all summer, everybody uses it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so if not, I can get, a cleaning contractor to do it. I just have to notify him. We have one here. Dick, can't think of his last name now. But he cleans the U of I for us and stuff. He's real good. If I call him and say, hey, I need something cleaned, they get on it, but we got to figure out who's going to pay
So are
for
we
that.
looking like a CXT down there?
You
Place that bathroom?
that or, we have power, sewer, water there. If we create utility hookups, do we want to bring in a trailer during the fair? But then what happens when the Long Valley Garden people are
Right,
there?
right.
Or
we need
this
to
steel
buy-
rodeo that's going to come?
I think we need to buy one of those CTX that's got 3 men,
Well, I
3
think-
women, and the concession stand in it and put it over by where that is right now and just leave it there permanently.
I know one of the things we were talking about last time is waiting for Clearwater to see what kind of deal we're going to, if that bathroom ends up being, that CXT ends up being in the way of something in the future.
Yeah.
And temporary in it with a temporary trailer bathroom until we
Yeah.
get those plans.
And like I said, for the 2 weeks of the fair and rodeo, but then like I said, what do we make the people that are going to have the steel rodeo there provide their own porta potties or something, or
I think
how we're
we
going to
need-
deal with that? And then,
Well, the other thing to
we're
remember-
getting questions who, if they don't clean up, what do we do?
There's another bathroom at Armstrong Park that's brand new too.
And I think the Clearwater thing, I mean, if we're gonna build a permanent structure there eventually, you're gonna put a bathroom in it. But that doesn't negate from needing a you know, a solution at the rodeo grounds too.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to do something, get rid of the bathrooms that are there, put
Yep.
something in that will remain at the rodeo grounds. And personally, I mean, I think that this is a county property. That's why people are paying those deposits, that, you know, paying for the use of it is, there's a bathroom there, it needs to be cleaned by us. And Scott, honestly, in your budget, I think you need someone that is on your payroll that is managing the fairgrounds, and doing some of this.
Yeah.
So that's my personal opinion. I mean, we're to the point where that facility should be making us money
Yeah.
and paying for that position.
We got to look
It's
at,
an evolution, but
yeah, with it doing that, it's like when we waive the fees for a charity event, then who pays for the power and water and the cleanup? I don't think we should be waiving fees no matter what function, what it is.
I think we need to find a base cost.
And then we need to have
$150 to clean it and take care of it
some type
after.
of deposit, if, you know,
Yeah.
it's gotta be substantial enough that they're not willing to walk away and say, you keep my deposit. It's gotta be big enough that if, you know, they don't, then it's a, you know, it's a chunk they gotta pay and stuff, cause.
Minimum charge.
And then it's even with the fairs, like talking with Mickey, you know, when the fair and rodeos are, all their steel bins and scrap metal, all their stuff's full of garbage.
well, and that's why we
things,
need
and-
somebody to manage that. You shouldn't be
and,
managing that. On the flip side of that, so when you talk about that, we are collecting taxpayer dollars into
Yeah.
the fair board's general ledger budget line item.
Mhm.
We need to retain part of those
Mhm.
funds in order to help manage the fairgrounds. Fair board's gonna get some of that.
And we levy
But-
for fair, so we can look at that levy rate as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, we do need a holistic approach to that whole thing, but we are levying
Yeah.
for funding. We just need to levy what we need in order to do it. Now,
Yeah.
that comes out of our overall budget, so we have to be sensitive to that too, but
Yeah.
we do need to be maintaining that.
Yeah.
And that,
Well, yeah, we need a better coordination with the fair board, cause it's, right now, it's,
It's pretty
Agreed.
loose.
yeah,
loose.
there's no direction and, I don't know, lack of communication, maybe you on my part, but it's just, it's,
and again, that, whether that person is within your division or whether the fair board hires somebody, but they
Yeah.
have the ability to hire an executive director. They have the ability to pay somebody to do this work.
I think
So do
part
we.
of the problem with that though is that they, you know, like I'm on the waterways committee, it's all year long. These guys, they only deal for 2 weeks. So we gotta,
Well, technically,
we
they
need to,
want
if we need
input
to
on
change that a little
everything that
bit with the
happens.
bylaws, we may want to relook at that whole structure.
Well, they want input on everything that happens there, so that's not just 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, but they'll tell you, oh, we just do the fair.
yeah,
Well,
I
it's like,
don't think they're gonna be responsible enough to watch it year round. I
Yeah.
think Sherry's right. This is like a different position.
yeah.
yep.
Okay. I got to renew the conditional use permit for the recycle center because I guess it's expiring, so we got to do that. It was only for 3 years, and so I've got to.
You're talking about the roof?
Well, just development there, I guess. I got a deal from Lori that it expires, and I've got to renew it.
Okay.
And
That
stuff,
CUPs
extend
were
it.
forever
What?
off the ground.
What are you finding out on that floor
Certain
out there at
times
the
you move
transfer
in the
site?
What about it?
About the floor at the transfer site? Anything happening out there yet, or
As far as what?
the concrete floor that you were talking about?
Well, that's part of the capital improvement for the 24 season.
Oh, okay.
Budget year. I shouldn't say season, but for that year, that is a total package. We're proposing a little over $1 million to work on that because it's to refurbish the whole building.
Sure.
But yeah, the floor is included in that. I was out there Friday and we really got to get that trench drain. That's because that floor is just, you get back in your vehicle and you got that stinking slime on you and everything else. Because from what I understand, previous to me taking over, they used to, with a pressure washer, wash that floor once a week. But the trench drain from sliding stuff over it it's wore out. It's gone.
Yeah,
When they did wash it, it went into a tank and was contained and pumped out by like Honey Dippers or one of the people. That's part of the plan to get all that operational again.
Well,
So can we vacuum that drain out?
What's that?
Can we get a vacuum and drain that?
Well, it's a drain runs, east and west across that building, and it's just, it doesn't collect anything anymore. It's just totally gone.
Huh.
I've put trench drains in, part of being a plumber, in commercial buildings, and, it's gone. I mean, it's just the years of running loaders over it, scraping it, it's gone. And it needs to be,
And Great West is working on that, correct?
well, we're doing their recommendations with
Yeah.
them. And that's what we put in the capital improvement. Once it's approved, then we've got to put an RFP out, to get a general contractor to come in and willing to handle all of it, or have the subcontractors to handle the redoing the red iron around the doors, redoing the trench drain, resurfacing the floor, re-siding it. There's a number of things. It's basically rebuilding the building.
Yeah.
It's got right now, the CIPs are for next year's budget.
Yeah.
What are you gonna be able to do this year?
Not much right now at this point. Nothing was budgeted for it because we were still kind of working with Great West and stuff at that time. Solid waste this year's, been concentrating on the cover over the recycle center, and then with the baler popping up. So with the cover and stuff, I think our direction, like say in 24 and stuff, and 25, we're probably going to go more towards the transfer site now. We kind of is what we're going to do. I think a new building for the baler can wait another couple fiscal years. We got the baler, a new one. We should be in good shape.
We need to also be part of that conversation up at the regional transfer site that's being proposed.
I haven't heard anything back from Dennis. Is there anything going on that?
I haven't heard anything either, but
Real
And
quiet.
while we're talking about transfer site, we really need to sit down and have a workshop or something on what we're going to do about grinding up on the hill. Because no
Put it
one
on
wants
the
to bring
agenda.
their equipment up here. I did look at, instead of just renting for the year, to rent the horizontal grinder sufficient to do our work is $36,000 a month.
But it wouldn't take but a couple of weeks to do that, would it?
But we have to have it all year long up there, at least through the summer season, to grind what comes. I mean, it's going to be, just to get the C&D pile under control is going to just be steady at it. So
they're not on an agenda. Let's have a
Yeah.
Did
conversation.
you talk to the guy at Payette Landfill that does that for Payette Landfill?
no, I haven't. Mm-mm.
I'll see if I can find that number again, because I talked to him and he said he would come up and do it.
Okay, yeah. If you have the information, I'd like it because
Yeah, I'll have to start over
I
on
tried
that.
to contact the people at the Ada County, and I can't get anybody to call me back from there and stuff. So we need to have a workshop, decide in what direction we want to go down the road and stuff on that.
Okay.
I think that's about it. All I can think of right at the moment.
All right.
Oh, no, I do have one more. We need to look at the north sidewalks on the annex up there. I mean, those sidewalks were all redone when they did the remodel for the McCall Police Department. And something on the north side, it's just falling apart.
Too much salt?
I don't know, it's the salt. It doesn't get any more than the rest of the other sidewalks.
So it might have been like a 5-bag mix or a 4-bag mix. And
I don't know. I mean, it was all poured at the same time. It's actually got it's got the Gore-Tex fibers in it, reinforced fibers and everything in it. And for some reason on the north side, over there in front of probation and parole, it's just falling apart.
Did it heave or is it just coming apart?
No, it's just crumbling, falling
Just
apart.
crumbling. Wow.
Stuff,
Get it
so,
redone then.
yeah, you probably better start on that one before somebody falls and
Yeah.
Well,
hurts us.
what about out
Right,
here
the school
on these
gets you.
steps?
I think the city, wasn't the city supposed to do this sidewalk out front this year?
Got it in the CIP.
I don't know if they're going to do it.
They're
I
not
do
safe.
have
They're trespassing.
a capital improvement request in for redoing the aprons and down to the city sidewalk there. But, as far as the city, that's gonna have to talk with them.
I think I read in the Star News, they just got a grant to do from this street to the south, I can't, School Street, all the way to.
I thought they've had a grant for a while to do that. I mean, I've been
They
Yeah,
were
hearing
just
about.
in a couple of 3 weeks ago in the paper.
Mhm.
They had applied for one and they actually have received it now, so
Yeah.
they
Okay.
should get their funding.
And
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about the grant for the, the salt, for grinding up there and stuff. I haven't
I
heard.
think it
anything
was
back from-
June,
Yeah, so,
another 30 days or so.
okay.
So I'm guessing that we're going to do your budget after we talk with Jeff. Are you ready to go on both
think it was-
facilities and solid waste?
Talk to Jeff.
I think
McFadden
it's
first,
supposed to be,
and then we can put it all, I know it's supposed to be next.
That was next week or something I'm on.
So you're not ready to do your budget and have it on here as,
Is it today? I thought,
Yeah.
thought it was next week.
no, it's right now. Are you ready to go, Scott, or do you want to postpone?
I was reading the Gabby put out and I thought I was on the agenda for next Monday.
there's a couple of things, Gabby, that maybe we can research before. Line 920, the household hazardous collection. In
Well-
2022, we actually have $831 that we collected, but the budget was 40,000, and we've increased it to 47,600.
Before we move into the budget, let's figure out if Scott's not ready to do
I'll
that.
get my stuff. I mean, I just don't have it with him right now.
You have time to do it, okay?
I thought it was next Monday when I was reading the agenda.
Okay, go get your stuff and then we'll postpone that
Commissioners,
till.
if we want, we can
Collected.
What's that?
we can postpone it. And I do think, commissioners, we might have to have another meeting the end of May to, so I don't, it's really a determination what the commissioners want to
Any
do.
of our capital improvements, so I don't, how I can work on my budget.
Because it's a budget request. So these are requests that you have made to us. So if the commissioners are inclined to postpone this, we definitely can.
Well, I'm willing to do it today if you're ready, but if you're not ready, let's postpone it.
Just let me go get my stuff.
Okay? So then we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come back and talk to Jeff.
Jeff always has to wait on us.
Too much, Billy. Take
Okay,
care,
welcome
buddy.
back, everybody. Our next agenda item is not an action item. This is a department head update, Road and Bridge. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, y'all got my email this morning?
Nope.
Haven't,
That was pretty quick, Neil. So I did send a letter to everybody involved with the
oh,
with the
yes.
FEMA repair stuff. So they're not blindsided by a phone call from somebody way up high. I think this is a good move, talking to a couple of the other people I'm dealing with. So,
I can get on, I tried to get on the doodle poll and my screen just goes black. It won't take me to that, but I'll keep
Oh.
trying and see. But just let me know what comes out of the doodle poll and I will be there.
okay.
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 And you know, I think the last time I looked, it was
Well, they sent out a second one
it's like a doodle poll.
last week.
It's not even coming up now.
Anyways, I'll let y'all know when this
Monday, the
meeting starts.
24th at 10. Right?
I don't know, I just turned in my other doodle poll this morning.
Let me know what days you're thinking of. Monday,
Doodle.
have a meeting
Doodle
on the
poll.
24th. You wanted an extra one this
We
month.
might have to have an extra one on the 30th, Mr. Chairman. We have one on the 22nd. Or unless
Oh.
the commissioners want to do one during the middle of the week, that would be fine. But what I'm proposing right now,
No. This says April. This isn't even close.
Number 3 of Stibnite Road.
This is Monday, April 24th, which was last month. You gonna be at your office at the end of the day? I could come down there and try and do the doodle poll.
Maybe. I might be there. If not, Mickey can, I got a lot of problems.
Okay, well, go ahead. Just let me know what day you're thinking of and I'll see if I can fit it.
Okay. Road repairs, we had a lot of stuff go belly up last week. I hired Wade's crew. He's working on Thunder City helping us. If we can get that thing, hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have that pretty much done out to Lloyd Court.
What are they doing on it? Are they having to rebuild the whole road?
Had to rebuild a couple sections. We had to dig out all the muck, then build back up.
Okay.
But most of it, we're putting 2 layers of different types of geotextile fabric down and then building up off the top of that.
Okay, good.
Once it hardens up, it just, this spring just
Oh, it's just pumping
doesn't
everywhere.
seem to end. Every time we start getting caught up, something, I mean, half the patching we did on Clear Creek, our patch is held, but everything around it's falling apart now.
Yep.
Need some heat. Unfortunately, can't believe I said that. I'm having a meeting today with, I mentioned to you, Perpetua was gonna do a pilot section with a new type of road stabilizer on 4 sections back there. A lot of questions came up from the Forest Service about it being environmentally friendly, all this stuff, so they put together a meeting that I will,
This on Johnson Creek Road?
yeah, I'll
Okay.
join today at 3 o'clock, listen to it and see how the stuff actually works. It's pretty much just like they do on the highway. They grind it up and then add it's not a concrete-based stuff, it's some other stuff that Lift Tech makes. Then they got a lot of stuff out there. They've done stuff nationwide and. well,
So, is this similar to, I saw them do it down Goose Creek when they chewed up all that, and then they chewed up and mixed, it looked like concrete.
It was
they were-
concrete. That's a crabs.
Yeah.
Concrete reinforced asphalt base, I think is what crab stands for.
Oh, I thought you said.
No, I didn't say anybody had crabs. I said they did a crabs project. Thanks, Neil.
You thought you said a crappy project.
Oh.
It's those acronyms again. They get me every time. So that's similar to what you think they're doing.
It's similar stuff, but it's not concrete. It's not Portland cement. It's something else that it's a proprietary
Stuff. Whatever.
some patented something or other that this Lithtech company came up with, and they use it on a lot of big mine haul roads, and it's holding up a long time. So,
Wait and see if they can get it by the Forest Service.
Might ask what their plan is. If they get their approvals, when will they redo this Worm Lake intersection? You heard that?
no idea. I've seen plans for it. I know we're working on Johnson Creek right now on the agreement. That's the only thing right now that is different from anything else is the Johnson Creek one. They're saying if the permitting goes through 2025, they will take over that road, Worm Lake Highway.
They're not going,
365 days a year. They'll plow it. They'll maintain that whole thing all the way in.
they're not doing anything up there on Johnson. I mean, Johnson Creek's still got 4 foot of snow on it, doesn't it?
Keep going.
More? Well, that's what I was wondering. You said
There's-
Jolly, I'm going,
there's
I
80
know that's still snowed in.
There's still 88 inches on Deadwood, so top of Landmark's probably still got 7 foot probably.
Oh my
Everything's a
goodness.
month behind.
Yep.
I'm really surprised we haven't got any phone calls from CSASH. We're a month behind. Stuff's just
They're
not
asking
melting.
Larry. Larry's getting your phone calls, he told us.
That's good. That's
He
good.
said, we'll open it in May of 24
Oh, there we go.
at this point.
Or August of this year, maybe.
August.
Well,
Like I said, I've had a lot of roads. I mean, Elt lives on a road that is, I don't know why they're doing this. They're old farm roads that weren't meant to be plowed. They weren't meant to have this much traffic on them. Over the years, it just seems like they're rolling over, all the goose coming to the top, and
Yeah, I'm afraid the garbage guy's about done coming in there. It's pretty scary for big
it's,
trucks.
I mean, I got a picture on my phone of the school bus out on Thunder City, and that's what prompted the closure. Kicked everybody to the north, but the north end with that much traffic on it, it fell apart. So that prompted me last week to, we're too early, but look, we got to try something.
it's one of those years.
EMS and everything else couldn't get to those houses, and it's still pretty sketchy for them, but we're working our way that way.
Good.
Wow.
All we can do this year. I mean, it's just a weird year. I was driving on roads down in Utah that were absolutely falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, look,
So
City of
it's
McCall,
just a-
everybody's just
Bad year.
bad year. Different layers of frost in the ground. I don't know. Got another bad one down in Clear Creek that popped up Friday, I think. Went down this morning, looked at it. It looked like the center of the road just never had a problem there before. Center of the road just opened up and just went
Wow. Global warming, man.
global warming. Yeah, this was a good winter to be advertising that. This winter ain't over yet. Had 4 inches of new snow on Big Creek yesterday.
Yesterday, oh
Bill's
yeah.
email is.
Got to bring up staffing again. I lost a guy last week. He's going to go work on the border wall for a few years. $75 an hour.
Oh my goodness.
He can't. He's been living with in-laws and relatives here since he moved here. Trying to get out on his own and can't do it. No houses in the range. I got 2 guys retired next month. Had the guy that left last week. Got another guy leaving in a couple weeks. Getting his mom out of this weather. My new girl in the office just turned in her 2 weeks this morning. Can't afford it. Can't find a rental that she can afford. Single mother. The rents keeps going up, and so she's heading back to Emmett. We're working with Pat. I think she can do 90% of that job remotely, which will be great.
For a little while, but it sounds like she has another job, so she's going
She
to be taking
does.
on something else.
She's got something, but she said this one. She's done great things with this program, and she's got it where we're using the UPC or those codes, QR codes. We've got them on vehicles now. The sheriff's office is all you got to do is click that UPC or QR code on their car. The whole history comes up of their car.
Awesome.
And then shoot an email straight off of that to the shop and Pete. Says 5,000 mile service. check tires, check brakes, whatever. It's just, it's all, it got to that point to where it just started just going so fast, I can't even keep up with it now.
Any way of doing it though.
So between the three ladies we've had down there, we've gotten to this point.
So frustrating.
So how many employees you got now if you're losing all those folks?
Well,
Enough.
I hired my 2 assistants last year, bumped them up from road techs. We were gonna fill those positions with new road tech positions so my supervisors could do what they were supposed to be doing and not visit, they're supposed to be helping me. Well, they're still working. I'm still working out in the field. So I went into last winter 3 people short. That's what prompted me to plow last year. And so right now I'm down, well, here in a few weeks, I'll be down 5 or 6. I'm gaining 1 next week.
Great day.
So do what I can. This Thunder City job was not budgeted for, so where that goes.
What do you think that's gonna come in? 150,000?
It's gonna be probably $200,000.
100,000?
Carryover budget.
We
So
gotta
I'm
react.
wondering if we need to think about, I mean, does he have anything in his schedule available? The thing is that he's probably able to help right now because he can't go on other projects. But as we move forward this year, does he have capacity to take on maybe some of the things? If we can't hire people, we can't do what you have on
Exactly,
your.
and that was my next question. I might be looking at hiring some
Yeah.
graders and water trucks to
Gonna have to hire
help us
vendors.
get our roads done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the guy that quit last week, he was my backcountry guy. But luckily, I got another guy in McCall that he wants to go back there. So hopefully we can get that taken care of, but this valley floor stuff, I'm
Well, and I think we need to look at other things that we're gonna do this year, maybe reevaluate whether we should do those or not.
already doing that. My brain was working this weekend trying to figure out where I can rob Peter to pay Paul. Once again, that's part of that 2.5 million that I want to stay in my reserves for emergency stuff like this. If I was to hire that whole thing out, it'd probably be $1 million.
Yeah, at least.
I've got my whole crew out there, which isn't very big right now. I got Wade's guys out there. I hired 2 of Toby Olson's trucks. Kessler's hauling for me. You just don't get nothing done with 5 trucks. You gotta hire out.
And that might be what we have to do this year.
I'm hoping the roads kind of stop doing what they're doing.
It's gonna be a while though, Jeff, because they're pretty soft.
Oh yeah, we really shouldn't even be on Thunder City right now, but I don't have a choice. Those people couldn't get in and out, couldn't get EMS in there. At least now they hopefully get a fire truck in there.
And we got a doctor that lives in there.
Yep,
It's emergency services we gotta take care of.
yep.
Wow.
Still a little gushy, even with 2 feet of rock and the roofs, but at least it's not, they're not disappearing. So it'll heal up, but we need some heat. Whoops, said it again.
Yep.
Other than that, that's where we're at.
Okay. Do your best with what you got.
Yep,
What it is.
that's all I can do.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
See y'all later.
Commissioners, what I propose is that if the commissioners are amenable to this, is having a special meeting on May 23rd. I don't know if you guys have any time available that day to have a budget workshop, because we are running out of time. And unfortunately, your commissioners' agendas are full.
Wait, there works for me, Doug.
It works for me.
I'll be going the 23rd through the 30th. Because we're off on Memorial Day anyhow.
We could probably handle it.
What day is Memorial Day?
Memorial Day's on the 29th.
Mother's Day is
Well,
next week. So let's shoot for the 23rd at 9.
Yeah, that would be great. And we could have Scott come and present there at that time.
Okay, you want to do that? Okay, so let's postpone this one until the 23rd of May, whenever Doug times you in.
Got a couple questions on yours.
Thanks.
You've got some really interesting line items. Electricity is, I mean, you've been way over your budget, and yet we're still only requesting a small
You're
budget.
talking about for solid waste?
I probably
Yes.
am,
Yeah.
yes.
We gotta get that straightened out because those are getting taken out of the, there's two line items for electricity for solid waste. One is the recycle center down there, which uses a ton of electricity for that baler. And the other one's the transfer site, what we split with, and
Lakeshore.
for some reason, the recycle center's been getting taken out of the transfer site, which is making it go way over.
The other thing that I have questions on is
Mhm.
like your long haul and your tipping fees. Those are set amounts, I think, in the contract, and yet we're collecting 100,000 more than the contract amount,
So,
or 50,000 more on the tipping fees, but 100,000 more. on the
Remember,
long haul.
Lakeshore goes up, what is it, Doug, 5% a year?
CIP, yeah.
they can ask for at most 8%.
At most 8,
At
right?
8,
The
and that's
last-
what they did this year, and it really hammered us because it's across the board. It's everything. It's the
Everything.
recycle center.
Yep.
It went, from 12. It went up. Yeah, everything went
Well,
up.
21 and 22 were the exact same amount, so they didn't increase those.
No, they didn't, and that's why Scott came last year with wanting the big
Okay,
increase.
so 23 then. Doug, maybe we could get an accounting before his meeting on what we've spent in 23 so far. We know for certain where we're at.
So we're gonna wait till the 23rd though to do this budget, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That'll include facilities and solid waste.
Yep.
So today we're gonna do,
Skip should be in
Skips.
a couple minutes, hopefully.
so while we're waiting for Skip, can we go on down and do the meeting minutes and all that?
Technically, Mr. Chairman, they're on the agenda for 11:45, so I would propose that you wait.
So if Scott's doing the fairgrounds, Doug, will we do the fairgrounds at the same time? So,
So typically, I mean, that has to be a conversation to have because the money that we collect for Fair Board is not to, it is not for the maintenance of the arena or not maintenance of the buildings. We were budgeting for that in Scott's budget. But I do think it needs to be a conversation that needs to be had sooner than later regarding what that contribution to fairground or the Fair Board is going to be. Or if the commissioners are going to be inclined to budgeting for the maintenance and the upkeep of that arena in the Fair Board budget or in the facilities budget.
I think it should be in the facilities budget.
And that's what we did this year. We budgeted $20,000 in the facilities budget for maintenance of the fairgrounds. But what we didn't budget for this year and what we're proposing to budget for next year is what upgrades are needed. So I would agree with Scott that Commissioner Thompson, Scott, the Fair Board have to have a meeting to have their separate workshop to discuss what upgrades are they wanting and wanting the commissioners to consider doing in fiscal year 2024. And are they going to be asking for general fund money? But I know the commissioners had the idea of using ARPA dollars for those upgrades. So I think before the commissioners have a good understanding of what should be done, is that there needs to be a workshop to present to you ideas that are being proposed.
Absolutely. I agree.
Well, and and I agree with the upgrades. I'm questioning too is, can we pay for a position in Scott's department, underneath that fair levy? If they're not hiring an executive director, then, how do we do that? But
I guess technically you could, if you were inclined to do that. But I think Scott needs to take a look at the existing staffing that he has and can he dedicate a portion of that individual's time over there? And that would be, a decision for the commissioners and Scott to make. But he has two technicians. He has himself as the facilities director. Is that enough to oversee the upgrade maintenance of that building? And what are you expecting? Are you expecting them to see when the upgrades are decided, for them to be monitoring that, or just the general maintenance of the fairgrounds?
I think just the general maintenance of the fairgrounds is what we need somebody to,
Well, who's
24/7.
Who's going to oversee if there's an improvement down there? Who's going to go down and check on it and make sure that, that's happening? After dealing with this for 2 years, we're not making progress.
It's got to be
And
in
it's-
Scott's
And what
wheelhouse.
Yeah. The volunteer board doesn't historically,
No, it's
Move
not up to them
projects.
to do that.
well, they just don't have the capacity to do it. It's just not happening. And so it's, if a person were in his department, they would be overseeing, anything that's happening at the fairgrounds. It's our buildings, it's our facilities. We need to be making sure that it's done correctly.
And I guess, yeah, that is definitely a valid point that needs to be determined. But again, in my humble opinion, I think the first thing that needs to be determined is what upgrades are needed and when are those going to be taking place and how will those be funded. And I think a lot of that has to do as well with the decision on the road department, right? I mean, if the commissioners are inclined to move the road department in the next couple of years, then that's going to change the outlook of what those upgrades at the fairground are going to be, right? I mean, because if that takes place, then you have that whole area to consider upgrading. But what is the primary focus right now? Well, what we're hearing is that there's not enough capacity to bring in enough people, right? So is the number one priority the stands? Or is the number one priority the actual arena, or are they 1 and 2? But I do think that the commissioners need to get some opinion decision from the fair board of what they want. And I don't know if they've done that or not.
Well, we've talked on all those deals, just the 1, 2, like you're saying. Bathrooms high on number 2,
Okay.
And just to the area in the fairgrounds itself. And until the road department moves out, we really can't expand out past that much. We're kind of
But
locked
they
where
were
we're at.
talking about redoing the arena fence this year, and I think the last I heard, Toby had somebody lined up to do that, and it was gonna be around $80,000.
And they're
Fence is critical.
also,
That, to me, we have to go out for bids for that. That's not gonna be just an easy peasy.
Mr. Chairman, I can't remember if it was Toby or who it was I was talking to there. They think they've got a grant set up with a certain organization that just does arenas, rodeo arenas. He was looking into that. And so if that was the case, that money could be used for just the arena fence. And so we'll see. I mean, there's
Their
lots
time
of,
is now. So
Yeah.
they either have to move
but I
or
mean, they have to really get after it or it's going to be pushed out till next year.
Well, and the last time we looked for a CXT that big, it was around $100,000. So I'm
We're gonna have to
assuming
use
we're
some
gonna be
ARPA money.
looking at probably ARPA funds to pay for those kind of things.
we're gonna have to use some ARPA money to get some of that work done, but
Oh, yeah.
they just.
Yep.
need to
But
get off
I
the
think
fence
for
and do something.
really, to do a really long-term plan down there, the first thing we gotta do is get the road department clear out of there. And that's gonna cost, because there's a lot of buildings that need to be torn down and dismantled and done away with to clean up down there. And there's gonna be a pretty good cost to do that function.
And commissioners, myself and Jeff and Brian Oakey met last week to discuss that RFP, how that's what needs to be done. So that's in the works. As you recall, commissioners, that was kind of your first step, was to get a request for proposal to see design work and the cost of that. So that is in the pipeline to get completed. So hopefully we can
You know,
have
a
that.
couple more weeks, Doug, or a month, or
I think we can get that done in a couple weeks, have it published, get the notice out there, maybe a hearing within 30 days. That would be ideal, right?
Is that just on that property down there
For gold dust.
for gold dust?
Yeah.
Good, good.
Well, then we need an actual, at the end of the time, after Clearwater gets done, the next step probably with them is to go ahead and do a full fairgrounds remodel, you know, a long-term plan for that 5 acres that's there.
I agree. But in the meantime, we've got to get it down to tearing down a lot of buildings. There's probably, who knows, at least 3 or 4 old steel buildings where the welding shop is. And some of that to me, some of those we might be able to auction off to people. They may come tear them down for us.
Jeff wants to take some of that with him.
And Jeff wants to take some of, we don't know which ones are those. But there's going to be a cost to that. It's not going to be cheap either.
Will that be after?
After the road department's gone.
After the gold dust building is created and functioning? Okay.
And I know that they, the one big deal where the grandstands are now, that was going to stay. That used to be, was going to be for equipment storage, but ended up being full of grandstands. But I know this year, they're pushing pretty hard for the grandstands, the new ones now.
Yep.
And I think the last I saw on that, it was 40,000,
It was right up there.
something like that. I heard 17,000 to buy them and then 40 to have them installed or whatever, but.
And that goes along with the other improvements there. So we need to look at the ARPA funds and just set aside a portion, and that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had 250 set aside, I believe.
That's kind of what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? I was trying to remember that the other night. Not sure that's going to do it, but we'll find out. So let's move on down our agenda. We have a budget workshop next with court services and juvenile detention. Skip, come on up. We've got your budget. You going to put it up on the screen, Gabby?
What line item is that, Gavin?
0654 and 0108. Which one do you want to do?
54.
760.
Okay, I'm trying to find it here in mine so I can see it better.
What's yours called?
Probation.
Probation. Okay, Skip, so we're looking at a budget. Is there anything you see, anything different as far as staffing or salaries or anything?
So
Just so we can get a general
Yeah,
idea
and
what
I-
you're thinking.
I think, I believe Pat has been talking. So there's 2 things, all people. So established levels with her. And last I emailed her, the way I imagine levels, it's like if we do a level 1, 2, 3, and we have 3 levels, that would equal a percentage. But she said maybe, maybe not. So I don't know what those mean as far as, but we did establish levels, and Jacques and Molly, and Dee Dee, level 3. Molly's the shortest. She's been there for 10 years. About 15. He's been in business for 20 some. And then, so that's going to affect salary and wages somewhat. I don't understand how.
Okay, okay. But you're not bringing on new staff. You're just looking at trying to do maybe some bumps.
I'm not looking for any new staff.
Okay.
I'm just addressing difference in like just the normal percentage of pay raises. And then with Steve, I've changed him to adult misdemeanor probation officer. And the reason was a couple fold. First of all, his classification, he really does everything that we do for the most part. I mean, that probation officers do, with the exception of home visits, but then he still fills in. He goes with whoever, if somebody's short. The caseload he deals with is unsupervised, and he does all the. But if I lose a Jacques or Molly, and I have that certification in place, the same reason you guys sent me to be JPO certified, I have somebody in place that's certified and can take on the caseload. And also, I mean, we've been predicting for years our numbers going to go up, and it's starting to. You know, just more population. Then I do have a fallout for him to take up a caseload to ease that burden for Jacques and Molly. So that would put him into a classification higher than what he's in right now. I don't even know if it's both classes anymore. It put him in the adult misdemeanor instead of he's at. So that increased him. And then based on his years of experience, he was a JPO for 5 years. He's got a total of 15 years experience altogether. His skills and abilities, I put him at a level 2 instead of level 3. And the only reason isn't because he's not capable of it, but because it requires a couple things. It requires not only a post certification, which he doesn't have yet, it requires the advanced post certification, and also an expertise in MI. And he does MI naturally, but he couldn't break down and say, you know, these are the stages of change. This is where you were.
What's MI? You've lost medical intervention?
Just gonna ask that
What's
too.
MI?
No, you know what? It just
Motivational
thank you,
interviewing.
motivational interview.
Okay.
So it's primary skill, and it's the skill of it is to help people resolve the issue on their own. And when you're talking to them, instead of you telling them, hey, "This is what you got to do," use questions, answers, direction, so they come up with their own plan. They identify their own problems and they come up with their own plan. And it's a lot more effective than saying you got it because the court says right.
But if Steve's going to post this fall and going to be post certified, that
Yeah,
would
and he'll-
automatically bump him, wouldn't it?
Well, no, I included that.
Oh, okay.
I included that he is going to pass.
By next
So
year, he'll be in.
If he went to post or he changes his mind and decides not to go to post, then this is all for naught. He'll stay in the same category.
Okay.
But so with the plan that he's going to go to post and pass, it would put him at a level 2 for probation. So I don't know what that looks like salary, but it'll increase. And no other new positions. Our tracker position, we're staying current with that. We may have to look at that in years to come, but
Okay, so let's move on down to your B budget. And it looks like everything's pretty much the same.
For the lottery.
The lottery, and that's just because there's more settlements coming in. Is that why you bumped that?
no. So lottery, we have a surplus in lottery of around $10,000. So that's the money we can only spend on juvenile stuff. I can go lift if you want. And just traditionally, we've budgeted 2,500 because that's what we use. It's limited. But the year before, with Brian getting WT, multidisciplinary team going, I asked for an increase with that so that $3,000 could be available to fit in for youth and family services that fit in that aren't funded any other way.
As long as you can use the money for it, I don't see why. Yeah.
And the reason that works is because they don't have to be in the juvenile justice system. Okay? So MDT is dealing with a lot of kids. The idea is try to help them convert the system, try to help the parents get the help they need in the beginning. So if we can't find other funding sources through health and welfare, whatever, here's a chunk of money that we can use. And we use it a couple different times. One example is having a guy that works at the school with kids that need assistance, developmentally or emotionally or whatever. You know, sometimes kids have to have a helper to work with the kid offsite.
Is that the counselor now?
What's that?
Is that the school counselor now?
No. So
This is
my
more
son
one-on-one.
was autistic, and basically what you have when you're talking about special needs, and it can be because of mental cognitive stuff, or it could be because of emotional. They're not okay in a class setting by themselves with just one teacher. They need an assistant.
The school doesn't have money for that?
They do, but this was after school. This was
after school
yeah.
stuff.
So
Okay.
we're working with this guy, and through he was on probation, but determined, you know what, he needed training. He needed to learn how to figure out a checkbook. He needed a lot of hands-on. Hey, this is how you get back and forth to work. This is how you do responsible stuff. It was some counseling, mentoring. It's a gap filler. best I can describe it. So
Well, then let's go back up to the one above it, the youth tracker. You're not funding that at all anymore. You're using these funds for youth tracker
the
now?
youth tracker, a couple of years ago, HR said that that was a bad way to go, and that's now a part-time position.
That's Sue.
Yeah. And so that's a part-time position that we budgeted at $5,000.
That's that 5,000 in your A budget.
Okay. Gabby, can you roll it up?
Neil, when you're talking A budget, A budget is.
A little too far.
Personnel.
Or, nope. Go up, stop some more. I'm sorry, down. Right, there you go. UA fees got the same, everything else but lottery is pretty much the same.
And electronic monitoring, no, it's keep that the same.
So your
Last
total
year.
B budget only went up about 3,000.
You need
Yes.
that much in UA fees? I mean, you're not even spending,
It gets
40%
busy.
of that.
We do roughly 128 UAs a month, and it cost us $9.50. Try to recoup if we can, but that's just keeping that where it is. It's like maybe we won't use it for the UAs or Scram, but keeping it in that same line item, they can balance each other out because we can spend that much. Yeah, but let's say with UAs we only spend
I think what the commissioners are
$8,000.
reviewing, Skip, is that in fiscal year 2021, you expended 6,200 for UA fees. In fiscal year 2022, you spent 10,411. This year, it's $7,600.
so the 2022 actual then is not correct on this.
No, we had some variables because of COVID. We had a bunch of stuff going on. What is the discussion in that? I don't know if you can go back further than that, but I believe it was closer to $12,000.
Where is
We
it
need to
there?
make sure that,
It's not there. That's youth.
UA fees, Gabby, if you can go down.
Go down low. There you go. UA fees. There we go. You spent 7622 this year so far. Well, what I would like to do is just put a little check mark by that if we need to pull a couple of thousand here and there to do wages or salary, that will be one of the places I would look at first. We could drop that as much as $5,000 if we had to. Probably could still get by.
Well,
well, the
because
sheet's
where
not
the
correct. She's
Scram
gonna
is,
update
I
that,
mean,
but-
it's one of those things that
Unknown.
sometimes they kind of feed into each other. I wouldn't say $5,000, but I would say, check that mark.
$3,000?
3.
Okay.
That would
The 2022 actual, instead of the 6,230 is 10,411. When you're already up to 76, so we actually just spent more
2020.
than you thought.
Well,
You up to
what do we got?
76 already this
In
year?
July, August, we got 3 more months.
We're gonna be close to that
So
11,000.
yes,
instead of
about
the
$1,200 a month.
Okay.
Roughly.
36, so that would
So
be
our
about,
fiscal year, October 1st.
we could drop that $3,000
that's
and
fine.
probably be okay. Down to 12,000 if we needed to. That work for you, Gabby? Four more months, so that's 5,000.
You're getting
Yeah,
up
you're
high
right.
then.
What have we spent so far?
And
$7,622.
that'll put us close to 12,000.
Six this year.
I was just looking at the 6,200. We were way off from that, but it looks
Yeah.
like that number's
I think you can
almost
take it down
double
to-
that, so we're probably
I
fine.
would say
You can
another
take it to 12,000.
5,000 the rest of the year, 4 months to say.
I would say drop it to 12,000.
So the employee tracker at the 5,000, is that really enough, Skip? And that's,
It is for now. I mean, I fill in too. So
Oh, okay.
it's not just her. What Sue does a lot is home visits with her. It's that intermediate work through the week, like picking them up from school, helping them with homework, teach them how to cook a meal.
Wow.
Stopping by the house when Dee Dee doesn't have time, just to put eyes on the scene. So right now, I believe it's fine. I think as we go further with this complicated caseload, these kids that we're getting, we may have to look at a higher level of training. I don't know how to explain it. Sue's wonderful. She loves them. She legitimately cares, and that goes a long way. There's other things that on the professional side that we're not there yet.
Okay, do we want to go to, where are we going next?
No, detention center.
Yeah, juvenile detention center. There's not much there. Gabby, can you get us the current on the 22 actuals so far?
And again, I suspect that, the 22 actual is not right because it's the same as the 21
Well,
actual.
on this other page, she has it.
No.
So 2022, you were actually over. So the 17,712 was from 21. So 22 is actually 36,000.
Oh.
So the actual
Yep.
here is
Actual.
Detention on
It's
our
kind of
sheet.
like what I was telling you about those auto detains. I mean, in any given year, it only take 3 or 4 individuals.
Right.
You know? And so we could go 3 years and spend 15 grand, and in 1 year it could be 8. So
You're just playing the medium.
when we talk about that's just kind of a ballpark. Seems generally safe.
If we were to go over
There's
that,
just no
we'd just have
guarantee
to
on
fund
it.
that
We'd
from
move
general
money.
fund.
Correct. We'd move money from general fund reserve at the end of the year if
I
you
think
got,
we
if-
should leave that one at
I
35,000.
think so too.
And then the medical expense fund, we're just per contract. If it does something like punches the wall and breaks the hand, or there's some sort of thing like that, we're on the hook for medical funds if it's not covered. We have to, it's part of our contract that we're going to cover it, so we have some funds. It's been years since we've had to use it, but having some sort of cushion in there.
And then Skip, can you remind me on the electricity why we don't budget for that?
Because we don't have a detention center?
But we're not paying, we're paying for our share of the annex.
So this budget has zero.
That would be
to do with
under
the
another
annex,
budget,
because
wouldn't it?
We send all our kids to
Yeah,
Ada County. and
okay.
County County.
Okay. I thought this included the actual operation of the annex as well,
And that's not on my other budget either. I mean,
we
so-
budget all that in.
in general fund.
Correct.
The only thing, while you're building these positions with Pat, you're doing levels, remember to take names off of it. It's really easy to take and say, I really want to protect my team, and I'm trying to move these people through the system, but it's really what you need. So take names off of it. Look for the positions that you need and create those levels appropriately
I
and accordingly.
think we did.
Okay.
I was mindful of that. And so I went through the job description and then the real critical parts of the job position. Some things are just, you have to have like the skill portions. So I think we did.
Okay, great.
Gabby, where's general fund? I can't find it. Well, there, just get, as you said it, I found it. What do we have budget for the annex? If he's looking for some improvements there. Senior Dan.
And that'd be under
It would
Scott's.
be under facilities, Mr. Chairman, under 0110. It's where we,
Okay.
you recall, Mr. Chairman, we reduced
Yeah.
018. Moved all of that into,
Well, that's all under buildings and fixtures.
correct.
And there's not anything there, but I mean, if it's anything, it's got to come through the CIP committee if there's anything that's a
We only have,
larger.
there's two things we're talking about. So we have these water faucets that have not worked for years.
We have them out here too.
Well, but we also don't have any place to wash dishes. So I put in a request just to see if he changes out for a sink. You know, just so we'd have a place to just calmly clean.
They don't have a little break room? It's got
No, we
a
have-
sink in it?
We have where our entrance is, we have our refrigerator and stuff, but the only sinks we have are just like the bathroom sinks. So, I just, just a general sink we could wash and do a little bit of cleaning. And then also just what I told you about, maybe move Steve in there. But again, I think that just through my office supply budget or maybe just position, it wouldn't have to, I don't think we need construction, especially while we're in the interim thinking about that. He has a door he can close. He can use the whole thing if he needs to.
It's a problem over in the jail, the McCall side, they got all that. That's the part that they, break room, they got all of it.
Yeah, they got the kitchen, they got
Got it.
our,
Okay, so I just one more thing I want to point out to you guys, right below where Gabby's got it marked is the fairgrounds. You can see we're way short.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
this is the taxpayer funding, so if we want to do something out of ARPA, then we need to account for that separately somewhere.
But there's still 20 in there.
And I think we always should leave that.
Are we good? We're done?
I mean, as far as the significant changes we made a few years ago was just on the travel and mileage, because we went to one car, I think we've done a good job with that. Spend much money on mileage.
You guys are pretty cheap department.
What's that?
You're pretty cheap. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Well, I was figuring out the revenue, and I think it was right around $100,000.
Oh, nice. I remember when this budget was $370-some thousand a year for the detention
Just the
center.
position, yeah, it's 327. About 270 of that was in staff.
Okay,
So there's no updates as far as like salaries or.
we're not gonna talk A budget until we get to the end and see how much money we have left. Gabby's, I'm sure we'll figure a 5 or 4 or 3 or 2%, whatever.
I'm gonna be asked, so I'm asking you.
We're not getting to A budget yet until we see what the B budget is and
I
what's,
think
how much
this-
is left.
That might change a little bit, Mr. Chairman. We're going to be discussing that with HR Director Pat Duncan, just to,
Sure.
and there might be a presentation earlier, though, just to let you know.
Oh, that's
Because
okay.
they're still in a holding pattern as far as raises.
New positions will be in your A budget. Not, you should be going over with Doug right now if you want new positions,
No.
but
That's why I asked you,
yeah.
that's why I asked you in the beginning about if you're planning on any more staff, so. Okay, thanks, bud,
Keep 'em.
appreciate it. We're gonna move on down to our last agenda items for the morning. These are all action items. Everybody get a chance to look at the meeting minutes of May 1st. They look great to me. I'll entertain them, I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of May 1st.
seconded.
Moved in second, all in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye, motion carries. Okay, and in your packet, we have the variance 22-01. It's very bottom of your packet for, I'm not gonna say
Residence.
names online, but this was for the discussion last week on, is it,
This was a couple of weeks ago, actually.
what
Mr.
road
Chairman.
was it on?
oh, that's
Ron
Gron Lane.
Lane.
Run Lane, thank you very much. And I think they look really good to me.
Mr. Chairman, they also have been vetted by Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Brian Oakey.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve those facts for variance 2201.
I would move that we go ahead and approve the finding of facts for variance 2201.
Seconded.
Moved and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then the last item before lunch today is the road advisory
Actually-
letter.
You have another item, Mr. Chairman.
What did I forget?
You have another one.
Proclamation for Hope Week.
Oh, yep,
What?
okay.
So
So did
the
everybody get a
last-
chance to look at that letter? The road advisory letter?
Did.
Soon.
Road advisory letter? Oh, yeah.
I wrote that and then I gave it to Oki and he kind of fine tuned it and that's what we came up with.
The
If
road
you're good with
advisory
it, I'd
committee.
entertain a motion to approve it and send it to the road advisory committee. Where the heck did it go? Not in our packet.
Will that come from us to,
Came from me and Oki.
To-
I'm not a writer, so he kind of helped me write it.
the road advisory
Right,
committee?
road advisory, and the main issue there was how they were kind of getting into Jeff's face on the HR issue. The letter kind of explains that that was not their function.
Kind of rein them in a little bit. I follow you.
It looks fine.
It's okay, so need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the road advisory committee letter.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And now, the last agenda item for the day is an action item. This is to proclaim proclamation for Hope Week. So I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Okay. We did this last year as well, but you were not elected yet, Mr. Thompson, so you're not probably aware of what Hope Week is. So Hope Week
Ms.
is,
McKnight, just for a matter of the record, can you say who you are, who you represent?
my name is Shannon McKnight, and I today am representing the West Central Mountains Youth Advocacy Coalition. Okay, so Hope Week is healthy outcomes from positive experiences, and it is an effort to combat ACEs. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, and there are around 10 of them that they test youth for: verbal, physical, mental, and sexual abuse, made to feel unwanted and unloved inside of your home, lack of food and clean clothing, lack of protection and or support from your parents, separated or divorced parents, witnessing abuse in your home, alcohol or drug misuse in your home, depression or mental illness in your home, be it a sibling or a parent, and a parent who is incarcerated. In Idaho, we are third in the nation for the highest ACEs score with our juveniles. 31% of all Idaho adults have reported they have an ACEs score of 3 or higher. 10 is the worst score you can get. 51% of Idaho adults have experienced at least one ACE, and 48% of Idaho adults witnessed abuse in their home as children.
We're number 3 in the nation.
Yeah.
It's not
So ACEs can lead to a lot of things: poor mental health, heart and kidney disease, poor physical health, and the misuse of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco by youth. Having ACEs does not necessarily mean that you will get any one of these things. We know that any youth that have a positive adult role model in their life, which we at YAC and Ignite call your trusted adult, have a reduced chance of acquiring one of these negative experiences in their life, and can become thriving adults. I myself have a 9 ACEs score, and I'm doing okay. So the West Central Mountains Youth Advocacy Coalition would like to thank you guys for once again proclaiming this Hope Week, and for all the efforts you guys make to ensure that youth in our communities are known, that they are loved and cared for in Valley County.
Shannon, thank you very much for this. I'm glad we're doing it again this year. I'm going to go ahead then and make the motion that we proclaim May 8th through the 12th as Healthy Outcomes for Positive Experience Week.
absolutely.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
all
very
you
much.
do.
Third in
So
the
at this
nation.
time, we will recess and we'll see everyone back here at 1 o'clock.